2.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is TWitWoW in review. This is installment number 6 of TWitWoW in review. So we're just reviewing this week in the world of wrestling. And interesting week, somewhat. Stardom keeps rolling along to Dream Queendom. Should be a great show. I think the biggest news, oddly enough, on a few fronts, is coming out of NXT this week, both in kayfabe and non-kayfabe. And Raw and SmackDown. Well, SmackDown even had a bit of a big development here. We know that John Cena is still going to be wrestling at least once a year. December 30th, he's tagging with Kevin Owens against Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn. So I'm sure we'll talk about that a bit later in the show. But brother, how have you felt about this week in the world of wrestling?
Yeah, I've been pretty happy with this week's wrestling, I would say. There were a few things that happened on Raw that I paid attention to. You mentioned NXT had at least one really good result, but then it turned into something a little bit less just pure good and a little more bittersweet. Um, AEW exists. I don't have too much to say on that front. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. SmackDown was the best show of the entire week.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it in terms of things worth talking about. But let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the week. Should we just start with NXT? Because I feel like that's been the biggest talking point this week, even if SmackDown was the best
Yeah, we
show.
can.
Obviously the biggest story coming out, Roxanne Perez, the new NXT Women's Champion. She won the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge
Yeah.
at Deadline, and then the Wednesday after, she cashes in her title shot against Mandy Rose, who at
Tuesday.
that point had been, or Tuesday, excuse me. I'm used to NXT. Yeah, I'm still thinking when NXT was on Wednesday. Tuesday, following Tuesday, cashed in her title shot against Mandy Rose, who at that point, 413 days as champion, 10 successful title defenses. And she's like, "Oh yeah, sure, we can do it." And I think this is after she got beat up by Mandy in Toxic Attraction. They have their match. Roxanne wins with the pop rocks, which seems like a kind of sunset flip power bomb from what I saw in the replay. And yeah,
It's like a
crowd gives
Yoshi
Mandy
tonic,
respect.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, crowd gives Mandy a respectful send off of thank you, Mandy, and all that stuff. And then we find out
She got fired.
that yeah, she gets fired. She gets released because of content on that was leaked from her OnlyFans, and apparently it was in violation of her contract. And she has had 3 different hashtags in the course of this week: rehire Mandy Rose, Mandy Rose deserves better, and all that kind of stuff. So there's clearly a lot happening here. Let's start on the more kayfabe front. Do we feel like the NXT women's division might be in the midst of a renaissance? Maybe get close to approximating that golden age with somebody as prodigious as Roxanne Perez, incredibly young, incredibly talented, as the champion. I know you're a big advocate of hers, big fan of hers. We've talked about her a few times leading up to this episode this week. How do you feel her title reign can be, especially given, though, I think the one detriment is she is a babyface. I don't know if we should expect the reign to last long. But how are you feeling about the NXT women's landscape with her as champion?
I appreciate you putting this question out there. That said, though, as much as I love Roxanne Perez and as talented as I'm sure she is, and as prodigious as you said she is, um, there's only so much you can do in the kind of situation she's in, and she is surrounded by really, really uh, green, to be generous, talents, and I really don't think that there's much of a chance of them ever getting back to the place that they were in, say, 2017.
That I think is an agreeable view. There's not really much to contest in that. I mean, I'll tell you right now, my money, and this is from a guy, you and I. Well, I don't want to speak for you, so I'm just gonna keep it to me. I can speak more authoritatively on that front. I have not watched NXT at all. Barely any YouTube clips, when they come across my feed. But assuming that Tiffany Stratton is still a priority, I could see her very much being the next champion. If not her, I know
Mm-hmm.
Cora Jade
Yep.
has been the first option put out there.
And I like
So,
Cora. I like Cora too. Um, I wouldn't say that she's on the same level as Roxanne as far as the in-ring stuff goes, but I do like Cora. Tiffany is like dumpster fire, garbage, awful, horrible. And a lot of the other women in that division are closer to Tiffany than they are to Roxanne or Cora.
right.
Like your Fallon Henleys of the world, your Sol Rukas of the world, your what's the name of the one that was with fucking Briggs and Jensen for a while? Was that Fallon Henley?
That was Fallon Henley, yeah.
There's another one with a name like that. Um, God, I'm blanking. You know what? I have a great idea. There
You're gonna pull up the
is,
roster page?
yep, a WWE personnel on Wikipedia.
But
And then I
yeah, I
can
guess
pull
while you're
up
doing
the
that, yeah.
NXT women's roster. Fallon Henley. Who's the other one that I was thinking about? Huh. Tatum Paxley. That's who I was thinking about. The other really, really green one. Tatum Paxley.
Okay.
Fucking most recently, the debut of Ava Rain. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to prioritize her, being a daughter of The Rock and all. Um, I mean, even if we don't want to talk about the super, green, like really new to wrestling, like just signed within the last year or two, and then thrown on TV for some reason, girls. You've still got other women that are seasoned veterans that I just don't think are all that good, like your Alba Fires and your Isla Dawns of the world. And then sort of like the in between where it's like they kind of lack experience and they're not great, but there's something there is like your Ivy Niles of the world, your JC Janes of the world, that kind of thing. I would say the highlights of the division right now would be like Gigi Dolan and Saray, who doesn't get featured at all. So, and Wendy Chu. Like, that's really the extent of it. I think worst case scenario, other than one of the green girls getting it, would be Zoe Stark, who is a horrible promo. And we just saw, I literally mentioned her the other week just because of how bad one of her promos that she cut was.
I'm going to bring some positivity into this because it's not like anything you're saying is necessarily wrong, but we did have a debut this week also on NXT. Valkyrie from OTT debuting as Lyra
Oh,
Valkyria.
Lyra Valkyria.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love her.
she,
She's great.
bro, dude, let me tell you something. I watched the YouTube clip of her debut. Uh, we already knew this from OTT. It was a match against Amari Miller. She kicks ass,
Yeah.
dude. I
If
popped for so
she
much.
is the next NXT Women's Champion, we're in line to get that lineage back in order.
I'll tell you, I don't think she'll be the next because well, then again, her facing Amari Miller, it made it seem like she came off more as like a heel, because Amari Miller, I just look at as a baby face.
Yeah.
But her offense, like, again, we already knew she was good in OTT, but I feel like in a way she might have gotten even better
Yeah.
since then because I'm watching these clips, bro. She hit one of the best baseball slides I've ever fucking seen. A
Wow.
fucking baseball
High
slide.
praise for a
She
baseball
hits it.
slide. Okay.
Yeah, no, dude, like it was almost like a shotgun baseball slide in a way. It was nuts.
Ooh, I gotta find this.
This woman. Yeah, I'll post the link to her debut.
I
in the
actually
chat.
found it already. Yeah, post the link in chat while I start watching it a while.
But yeah, her offense looks so good. I think the aesthetic is great. Yeah, I think Lyra, to me, if she's not NXT Women's Champion by this time next year, something is seriously wrong. I love that debut. I popped. I'll give NXT credit where credit is due. Amari sold the stuff great to give her credit. I think Amari could still be
like Amari
like
Miller.
a mega baby.
I like her a lot. She gives me like early NXT babyface Sasha Banks vibes.
Yeah. And, you know, I think they worked well together, but of course Lyra was the priority because she was the debuting
Oh,
act.
did you see the baseball
And
slide? Oh, that wasn't a baseball slide. That was a drop kick. God damn.
yeah, yeah, dude, the impact. I popped so fucking big for that. And yeah,
I love that
like,
she just stayed in the ropes and posed after hitting it. That was awesome.
dude, she I'm telling you, you got Roxanne, you got Cora, who, you know, Cora's decent enough, short. You got Gigi, who I'm telling you, if you've broken up Toxic Attraction,
Yeah.
you can make a single star out of her easy.
Oh my
Wendy,
god.
like you said, you've got the components to really make an NXT Women's Division that isn't harkening back to Black and Gold, but it wouldn't need to because it could
Oh.
stand on its own
Oh
merits.
yeah, dude. That's you're you know what? I want to thank you and I want to give you credit. The ingredients are absolutely there. You just named them. Gigi, Amari to a lesser degree. But yeah, I mean Gigi, Valkyria, Lyra Valkyria, Saray is there, Wendy Chu. You've got some really great talents. The problem is that there aren't like I feel like when the NXT Women's Division was at its best, it was when there were so many of those great talents that even when they picked the wrong ones, it was still like, well, you know, at least they're still really good. Whereas in this case, it's like rather than 3/4 of the roster being great and the other quarter being 3/4 of the roster is and only 1/4 of it is great, and it's more likely that they're just going to choose wrong and put someone that's not very good in the good spot. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think what it comes down to is essentially what you're saying. It's like the priorities, who gets prioritized in the division isn't making it reach its full potential.
No, it's
Um,
not about. I mean, listen, you're partially right. You're not wrong. But I really do think that it is a roster problem. I think that the problem is that in order for us to be anywhere even remotely close to the place that we've been in NXT golden era, like, you know, I guess like 2013, 2014, when it was like the horsewomen on top, and then like 2017, 2018, when you had like Shayna and Kairi and Mia and Rhea and like all these incredible women. The thing about those rosters that made them special wasn't how strong they were at the top, it was how strong they were at the bottom. And if you look at this roster, I would say that you could get through the top like 6 maybe or 7 women at the very top, and then you start running into problems already. And whereas that back then you could get it through like 10, 11, 12, and even then it was like, well, there are still, you know, silver linings to these talents. Whereas now it's like the silver linings start to fade at that point. You know what I mean?
right.
I think
Yeah.
it's not so much like the problem of NXT not really pushing the most optimal people to push is a problem that's always been around. That's a problem that's been around since the Triple H days. That's been going on for damn near a decade at this point. But
Right.
when the women's division was at its best, it was at its best because even when they didn't pick the quote unquote optimal person to push or optimal people to push, it didn't matter because the people they were pushing ended up being good enough to shine anyway. Nowadays, if you pick the wrong person to push, you're picking a fucking Ava Rain. You're picking a fucking Isla Dawn. You're picking a Fallon Henley. You're picking a worst case scenario and the most likely bad scenario, fucking Tiffany Stratton, which, like I said, is just an absolute disaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's a
So,
lot more bad on the roster today than there was 5 years ago.
yeah, absolutely. I am excited about Roxanne's reign and Lyra Valkyria. I think they'll be great. As well as again the people we already mentioned, but yeah, Mandy Rose potentially just gone for good from WWE. I don't know what kind of resolution, what kind of fallout's going to happen because the backlash on social media was very severe. But yeah, I mean, without her, she was see, and that's the thing. Regardless how you and I felt about Mandy in the ring or whatever, NXT put a lot of time into her as a top heel. And so I feel like you kind of shoot yourself in the foot with just that kind of knee jerk release because now I wonder who the top heel is going to be now is my thing. Because
Right.
it's not so much how I feel about Mandy in the ring or whatever. It's what position, what role did she serve in this NXT landscape? And I feel like the role she served, again, leader of Toxic Attraction, heel faction. I would say, for all intents and purposes, she was the top heel. Now I wonder if that's going to go to Cora or if they're going to, do somebody else or whatever. So I think there is going to be a bit of restructuring with Mandy now going from the picture. And I just wonder how that's all going to shake out,
Part of
I
me
guess.
has to wonder if that top heel is just going to end up being Tiffany. Like I'm telling you, like they're really fucking high on her, man. They really fucking love her. I think that they see her as another Charlotte Flair. I think she might be injured right now, but I think that she is the long-term big investment for them.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, man. We've known ever since she came in, Tiffany had the look, she had the kind of background that I think they really do want to push. And I think, but then again, I used to say the same thing about Lacey Evans. I still can't get over that they haven't figured out Lacey Evans when I just thought that they would just be like, fuck figuring her out, put the title on her and let the rest take care of itself.
Right.
Um, so who knows, man? Really, who fucking knows? But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that
Cora Jade
because
right
that was
now,
the
I think, is definitely makes the most sense for like an immediate feud for Roxanne, but I think maybe we do like Cora in the immediate, maybe Isla Dawn soon after that, and eventually kind of work our way towards the Tiffany thing. Like, I feel like Tiffany is just such a fucking elephant in the room. You just have to either do it and pull the trigger on giving her the title, which I think NXT would want to do, or at least just do it and get it out of the fucking way so that we can stop having that dark cloud hang over our heads. You know what I mean?
right. Just
And then
rip the
like
fucking
and
band-aid off.
then if
Yeah.
if you do decide to get through the Tiffany Stratton defense rather than just putting in the title on her, then we get to the good shit, which is Lyra Valkyria.
Yes. Um, I
You
guess
could,
while we're staying on
as
NXT,
far as I'm concerned, and so I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do want to stay on this for just a little bit longer. As far as I'm concerned, the combination of likability, look, talent, magneticism, youth really, and really the youth is kind of a double thing because not only is it good to have a young champion in NXT, which is your supposed developmental brand, but also remember with Paige, they didn't want to bring her up till she was 25 because that's how old you have to be in order to rent a car on the main roster.
yeah.
So in my mind, Roxanne can be champ for over a year too, for all I care. And I wouldn't bat an eye. I wouldn't be frustrated by that at all. Because she could literally be the face of the women's division for as long as they want her to be. She is talented enough to hold that division down. She is talented enough to put on bangers with even some of the greener women in that division. You put her against the Fallon Henley, and the match would be at least solid, I would imagine. And then you would have your gems sprinkled in there with your Cora match, I'm sure, and if they would do a Saray match or a Wendy Chu match, or because she doesn't have to only face big time heels, so we could have like a true champion here where she's taking on all comers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I
in my
think
mind, I know that we just came off of a long run, but it was like a dreaded long run. It was like, oh my god, can we please get the title off this person? Whereas with Roxanne, it's more along the lines of like, God, I hope she keeps it. You know what I mean?
exactly. Exactly.
So,
I do think there's promise in the run. We'll just have to see what they do with it.
yeah.
I think the only other really big thing in NXT, we've got the fucking New Day are the NXT Tag Team Champions. They beat Pretty Deadly at NXT Deadline. They're now Triple Crown champions. They've done Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Pretty fucking wild. And I don't know though, man. It's interesting though because you could tell New Day is in a different act of their career, maybe even as individual performers. I know Kofi's been there a long time, but certainly, as a New Day. And I just want to get ahead of this and say, I'm not saying break them up or anything like that. I'm just observing that they're in a very different place than they were even a year ago. And now they're NXT Tag Team Champions. Do you think this is good for the faction? Do you think this is good for NXT? Like, how do you think NXT should take advantage of this? Because I also think the tag division, a lot like the women's division, I'm not really seeing much popping here, at least for me. But then again, I've been totally checked out. Maybe somebody like a Foster or stuff would be like, no, tag division's actually pretty good. New Day can work with all these teams. So how do you feel about New Day now working Tuesdays?
Yeah, I don't really get it. I really, I think the thing that really confuses me the most is the why of it. It's the why exactly did you put New Day on NXT? Why do you want them to be NXT workers? Why do you want them on NXT instead of on Raw or SmackDown? Is it a ratings thing? Does WWE think that the New Day is going to bring ratings to NXT? Is that what it is, maybe? Because, like, I don't really know if they'll do that, but I mean, you could try, I guess. I don't know, man. It's weird to me. I don't really understand the logic in it. I don't understand what they're going for here. Um,
Um, I want to say to Foster, I always love Foster's optimism and his perspective that he brings because he said NXT's tag division is so talented and I love the New Day, but it's kind of weird. The New Day can help so many of these teams though. And I do think Foster, one, you're absolutely beautiful for saying so. And two, I can definitely see the merit in your point. I think what frustrates me and what's always frustrated me, not about the New Day, but about the New Day's booking, WWE's relationship with the New Day. I don't understand how you can do a successful program, and they did, and they had a heavy hand in it because we've said like you could write anybody. You do Kofi Mania, which is bananas for fucking audiences. It was super fucking
yeah,
over,
yeah,
and you still like my point being, you do this program, it's a massive success, and you still ultimately see the New Day as solely a tag team act. Like Woods is so good in the ring and he's got so much charisma, for God's sakes. He's like a part of G4. He hosts his own show there. He's done great stuff, on social media like most superstars have to do today because they're not given the time of day. And like I'd love to see him as a scrapper underdog going against Gunther for the IC title, right? But like you've never cared to tell stories with the New Day, very rarely outside of a tag team context. And I never understood why. Kofi especially, he's a decorated mid-card champion, obviously former world champion. We just got done saying that, all that stuff. So I don't know why you haven't done more single stuff with him to even hint that he could try and get back to the main event level. And I think this is also a problem when you've consolidated those belts around one guy in one act. And I fucking love Roman and I fucking love the bloodline. That's not meant to be slander, but again, just an observation. And Woods especially, I have to take up for Woods because that dude is way too talented to be doing more tag team stuff. He loved being King Woods. I think he made the King of the Ring more interesting with his personal story of always wanting to win it. He's even said like on social media, I'm the only guy that's really had Roman Reigns beat in 2 years because they had that match. I want to say over a year ago, maybe closer to 2 years ago, where the Usos had to interfere and cause the DQ because Woods seemingly had Reigns pinned. Like you have these great stories that really use these guys, that keep them in the public eye, that don't give them a smaller audience. Because here's the thing, like if I'm the New Day, I'm sorry, but like we've moved merch for years, we've been a consistent merch seller. um when they were hot, I doubt anybody could really touch them except for like the top tier acts. And I get that things ebb and flow, I understand that. And I understand too that they can give a lot of that veteran experience to these NXT tag teams, and that's fine, and you can do that. It's just, I guess it frustrates me because I still to this day see more in the New Day than WWE seems to, especially in Woods. It's ridiculous to me that they haven't done more of those stories when you saw Kofi Mania work. So I kind of agree with both of you guys. I agree with Foster that I don't think it's a bad investment. It's never a bad investment to get your veterans to work with the next generation. But I also agree with you that I don't really understand the why either. To me, you're already a prolific tag team. You didn't need this garnish on the plate. Maybe they wanted to give it to him because they ended up giving the Usos the longest tag title reign, which used to belong to the New Day. But to me, it's like you guys are still an amazing tag team. You've proven it. And we don't know what's going to go on with Big E. Rumble's going to be very telling if he has a surprise return at the Rumble or what's going on with him. He might be done completely. But you've still got two really talented guys that I think have a good bit to give. And I don't know. I'm just a bit vexed by the whole thing, if I'm honest. Happy for him, but definitely vexed and perplexed by why they
yeah,
would do this.
yeah.
So
I'm also. I see some like talented tag teams, but Foster said that NXT's tag division is so talented. I'm wondering who he's thinking of that I'm missing because I'm thinking we've got Blade and Inoue, We've got the Creed brothers.
Yeah,
Hayes, Carmelo and Trick. Who else is there?
I'm checked out of the product, so I could not say. But and Foster just said apparently Big E wants a reevaluation at the year mark. So yeah, I guess we'll see where he is then. But it's just frustrating.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, Pretty Deadly. They're great. I love Pretty Deadly. They're really good.
Yeah. Yeah, Javaris coming in, and I have to agree with him too, since
I
we're having
agree
an
with it
extended
too.
discussion about
Yeah.
him. Yeah, Melo needs to be called the F up. Yeah.
Chase U. Oh, right. Andre Chase has been teaming with Duke Hudson lately for Chase U.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I should check in on that because that's such a juxtaposition to me.
Well, they took away his young boy, basically. They fired, what's his face?
Bodie Howard, Bodie
Yeah,
Hayward or
Bodie
whatever.
Hayward. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just going to say
Yeah.
the former Wyoming linebacker, that guy.
Yeah. Um, so I've really got nothing else to talk about as it relates to NXT. I feel like those are the biggest things to come out of the week. Um, so is there any story that you want to talk to, like on your end, to kind of keep the ball rolling?
As far as NXT goes, I mean,
Just in general, because I feel like we
oh,
covered NXT pretty well for the
just in
week.
general? Oh, God. I hate this part. Uh, God.
I know the next thing I would love to talk about, but again, I always love to see
Dude,
if there's
if
anything
you
on your
have
mind.
something on your mind, you can go ahead.
Asuka. Asuka, I think, has been doing great stuff. We know now that the Twitter stuff is going to be storyline because Corey Graves made a mention of it, and Asuka competed without her makeup on Monday.
She did.
And she tweeted about it. It was a solid match with Rhea Ripley. Dominic Mysterio got misted. But beyond the match, dude, you and I know that she's even brought her YouTube channel into it because Kanachan TV, she's back in Japan right now and she's
Yeah.
looking for something. And she's been tweeting that she hasn't found it yet.
Yeah.
Bro, I gotta say, as an Asuka fan, and even more as an Asuka fan, just a general Asuka admirer and somebody that's really respected what she's given to WWE and done for women's wrestling, just in general, I am so happy for her. Because, like, again, we've been saying this for so long. We want stories for the women that don't revolve around championships or contendership for championships or whatever. This is Asuka going through a personal crisis and subsequently a personal transformation. And I'm gripped by this story. I will say it really says a lot that Bianca is an excellent champion and Ronda exists. But like to me, nobody in this women's division has my attention like Asuka does right now. I am really, really into the story she's telling. I'm a bit concerned that like they're doing it this early because like how long can you drag it out? Because I thought it would all come together at Mania, and it may not. But hell, even if it comes together for Rumble and she does something at Rumble, that's a great fucking start. So yeah, man, I'm loving the Asuka story. I'm still hoping. I am still hoping against all fucking hope, man, that it's her Becky at Mania. Her as Kana, you know, the demon clown versus the man Becky Lynch. I think that could be the match of WrestleMania
Non-title?
weekend. Not yet. Well, I don't expect Becky to win the championship between now and then, and I don't expect Asuka to regain the title either. So I just think it's just going to be a big singles match, a big singles attraction match
Wow.
between two longtime rivals. Yeah, I think that's what the women's division needs. I think you need matches again that don't revolve around the championship or contendership and show that you can tell other
Oh,
stories.
I
Maybe expect.
agree with you that that's something that would definitely show how far along women's wrestling has come. I just don't think WWE is going to actually do anything like that. Like maybe I'm underestimating Triple H's valuing of the women's division personally.
I mean, because I think you and I are still agreed that as far as the championships go, it seems like Bianca Rhea may very well be the direction for that side.
Yeah, but I've been
And
seeing a lot of Becky Ronda rumors.
oh God, what a waste. What a fucking waste. I mean, I could see it. They have it there. That whole controversy with the triple threat. Ronda was supposed to kick out and didn't, so they called the audible, and this and that. I just, I can't even say that it's not about my personal feelings with Ronda because of course it is. I think she's a shitty champion. I don't think she's brought any value to the division. She hasn't elevated anybody. Sure as shit didn't
Dude, here's the
elevate Liv
thing though.
Morgan.
It might be about your personal feelings, but I think that you're definitely not in the minority on this subject. I think a vast majority of people who follow the product have turned on Ronda we're just a little ahead of the curve on this subject. We've just hated Ronda for a little longer than most.
Yeah, yeah. And I just, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating because I want Kana to have a great run with this fucking character. Because I'm telling you, it's the type where if they treat it right, if they treat it with the same dignity that they used to treat the demon
Before
Finn
we
Balor.
continue, let me ask you this: do you think they're going to actually rename her to Kana, or do we think they're going to just keep calling her Asuka while you takes on more of her Kana-esque, idiosyncrasies from before she came to WWE?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be the latter. I don't think WWE is going to revert back to Kana. So we'll still have to, be calling her Asuka and shit. But I feel like this gimmick will be so great for her, and it'd be great for anybody she works with.
Which
But
really
they
does bring
gotta,
up my other question: do you really think that this is going to be a significant gimmick change for her?
it's dude, it seems like it when you look at the tone of her tweets and everything, which again they've acknowledged, and now like the YouTube channel of her going to Japan and looking for something, and oh, I haven't found it yet. Like, let me put it this way: it feels big. Do I think it's gonna be big? Going by the impression, yeah, I mean that can change, but it feels big. This feels like the biggest thing they've ever done with her since her streak. That's just my opinion on it. I don't know if Chad would agree with me, disagree with me. I feel like this is the biggest thing they've done with Asuka in a long time,
How do
and
you think they
yeah.
debut her new gimmick?
I was hoping Mania, but they've started the story so early that I'm honestly thinking as early as Rumble, to be truthful. Um, but I see. My question is, I wonder how long she's going to be in Japan for, and how long they're going to keep her off TV, because that's also interesting. And I don't know if they'd keep her off until Rumble or what. But yeah, I just want her to have a good run with whatever she's doing here. And yeah, I don't know. I hope they don't waste Becky on Ronda, but I can absolutely see it. And again, I have to say again this week, because I said it a lot last week, I'm really, really worried. I'm always thinking about Charlotte all the time. And like when that music's gonna fucking hit and when she's gonna be back on her bullshit. But I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm just enjoying the Asuka story. It makes me fucking happy to see her doing this stuff. And I know a lot of people popped her misting Dominic Mysterio.
That was great.
But yeah, yeah, especially the blue mist was a good color. I was like, damn, that very vibrant.
Yeah, that's the
And
sleep mist in Japanese lore.
ooh, very, very nice, nice. Um and Rhea wins. So Rhea picking up a huge win again over Asuka. Not the first time she's beaten her. She actually won her first Raw Women's Championship off Asuka. I want to say at WrestleMania last year. So yeah, Rhea doing it again. And her push continues, which is great to see. So yeah, anything you want to add about the things going on with Asuka beyond the questions you've asked me here, or
I don't want to, spoil any parades here, man. I have a hard time getting excited over a Twitter thing, and this is a mostly Twitter thing. Like Asuka, really the only significant change to Asuka's character that's actually been on TV is she didn't wear makeup in her match, and that's really it. That's the only change, and that's subtle enough that it could just be nothing. And then like yeah, I know Graves said something about her that she's been putting out some weird tweets, but I just have such a hard time feeling like anything's gonna come from anything that is revolving around social media rather than something revolving around what we're actually being shown on television. You know what I mean?
that's fair. That's fair, man. I think the only reason I am allowing myself to get excited is because of the acknowledgement that Graves made. Because I feel like more
Oh
often than
yeah,
not, social media just kind of resides in the ether. But when
yeah,
you're bringing it into that world, and then she's doing a YouTube video, and then she continues the YouTube video like on Twitter, like I still
right.
haven't found what I'm looking for. Like, yeah, I even wonder. In fact, speaking of, I have to wonder if on Raw this Monday, um, if on Raw this Monday, they're going to acknowledge that Asuka's in Japan, like Asuka like isn't on the show tonight or whatever, or what have you. Maybe they'll show the Kana-chan video like in a video package on Raw. Now, part of me doubts that. I'm just saying I think it would be cool if they did acknowledge like, oh, keep up with Asuka. She's in Japan. She's looking for something, but we don't know what it is. I just hope they get the most out of this story because the two things for a great story: one, it elevates the person that the story is centered around. In that case, Asuka. And two, you give somebody, or maybe multiple people if you're really lucky, a really good rub from the story. That's a bit more of a difficult question to answer, just given the state of the women's division and all of WWE. But yeah, we'll see what they do with her. But
Yeah, really,
that
I
was
would say that
Asuka.
the Asuka Rhea thing, like the match and the whole Asuka misting Dominic and all that stuff, I think that really was the highlight of Raw this week. I feel like Raw was pretty unnotable, pretty unspectacular this week, aside from that.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the Asuka stuff. And I guess beyond that, with Raw, we know that that Seth is going to challenge Theory for the U.S. title.
Yeah.
Um, it'll be a decent rub for Theory, I guess. I really Seth Rollins is starting to get more interesting because I think he is he's kind of taken on the modern Mr. WrestleMania mantle where people are looking forward to his matches the way they used to look forward to like Taker's matches
Sean's.
with the streak or Shawn's matches.
Yeah.
So I do wonder what Seth's going to do next year at WrestleMania because
Hey, man,
he's
we're only
clearly
like
not.
3.5 months away.
Yeah, which all things considered, that's not a lot of time, dude. That's gonna fly by. We'll be at WrestleMania before you fucking
Oh,
know it.
I
We'll
mean,
we'll
dude,
be
think
doing
about
our
it
Rumble
this
mini
way:
game.
we're
Yeah,
like 5-ish weeks away from Rumble. We're like 5 weeks and a day, or maybe 5 weeks exactly, depending on what day it falls on, away from the Royal Rumble. And once that's over, we're only like 2 months and a week away from WrestleMania. You know, like it's that quick.
yeah, yeah. I really have to wonder. I mean, God, Seth. Given that he's more in the mid card right now, I mean, there are the fantasy booking scenarios I have in my head where it's like, oh, it's debuting Carmelo. Like Seth does an invitational, and like Carmelo answers, and they have a fucking banger at Mania, and Carmelo's a made man in his first fucking match.
See,
Just
and
by
there's
having
part
it
of me that thinks that
so
if they're gonna do something like that with a debuting adult talent from NXT, they would do it more with a Braun Breaker than with a Mello.
yeah, yeah, and I think again you're 100% right to feel that way. So that's kind of the more the fantasy booking side of my mind, where it's like, oh, it would be a call up. They're gonna have Seth make a call up. But then when I look at the actual roster, it's like you're not gonna do Seth Lashley again. That's just not fucking happening. You're not gonna do, as far as we know. I mean, Royal Rumble could change that completely. You're not gonna do Seth versus Roman. If they would, I wouldn't necessarily mind it. I think there are better picks this time around. Um, Theory's going to be U.S. champion. He's going to be doing his own title defense. I personally hope that the Theory is part of like a schmoz type matchup, like a 6-man ladder match or some shit for the U.S. title. So you get like a lot more mid carders in on that. Or maybe if they're not going to do that, a singles match with Ali for the U.S. title where Ali finally fucking wins. Though those are the only two. In fact, I'd put that option as 1A, and then the big ladder match thing as 1B. And honestly, in both cases, just have Ali win. That man deserves a singles fucking title. He deserves a WrestleMania moment. So that's another thing
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
been on
yeah.
my mind. Um, you're not going to do Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's babyface, and it would be weird. What would even be the fucking story? Yeah, I really don't know. Seth is a big question mark right now for me, but I'll be curious how WWE answers it.
Do you remember
Um,
what my suggestion was for Seth?
no,
Gunther, U.S. title,
that's
or
right.
IC title
That's
rather.
right. Yeah, yeah. That could be insane, man.
Yeah.
That honestly, as far as realistic options go that don't rely on NXT or any quote unquote like graduates that are like, okay, we're gonna put you on the main roster. Gunther, I think, is the best option by far and the most realistic, given again that Seth is already in the mid card. So yeah, that's definitely
He's
something.
like the king of the mid
Um,
card.
yeah, at this point, yeah. I do hope he gets back to the main event and he gets another world title run maybe next year if the belts calm the fuck down and we, get over the bloodline reign of dominance and we get back to having more normal, consistent champions. That would be nice. I'm really getting sick of this era of like mega superpowered champions. And granted, I'm
Yeah.
still enjoying the bloodline, but it's like I want regular feuds, I want regular title defenses, and it's just, because so many guys and women, on the female side, they're so talented. It's like I want them to get a turn. Anything else happen on Raw worthy of note?
Nah. Dude, the Riddle Rollins, or Lashley Rollins rather, main event, I tuned out of it. I changed the damn channel. I put on the Monday Night Football. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm so, I'm so over that feud right now.
I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. I like both guys, but when something's overdone, it's just overdone.
Same.
Um, yeah, it's funny that you kind of misspoke and said Riddle. We ain't gonna be seeing him for a while. I'd prefer
No.
never again, but
Yeah. I
you
know
know,
Elias was on the show and he did a little. He was gonna do a song like a tribute to Riddle, but he got interrupted by Sikoa, and then he got his ass beat by Sikoa in a match, and then he got Samoan spiked.
Yeah, very interesting that they would bring that back for Sikoa. Honestly, though, I like it more than the Splash because it makes him more distinctive from the Usos.
Yep.
I also like the Uranage that he was doing as well. I hope that they didn't let him, kind of
Drop that
retire that.
entirely.
Yeah, but then Kevin Owens comes out, makes a save, and then he stuns Elias. So I do like the continuity there. I like that. It's not that Kevin Owens is buddy with Elias now just because he's, fucking with the bloodline. Still loving Kevin Owens and Bloodline, everything about that. We'll have a little bit more to say about that when we get to SmackDown. But yeah, I think that more or less covers Raw. And I guess we can move on. We already talked about NXT kind of out of order because they had a big news week this week. So I guess we could talk about AEW next, but like you said, AEW, not really much going on. The only clip that I watched was MJF versus Ricky Starks and that whole kind of
The
title
mic
defense.
exchange. Oh, right. Yeah, the actual match.
Yeah, because the mic exchange was last week.
Right.
Match, from the YouTube clip that I saw, it wasn't bad. I do like, if I could give him a little bit of credit after dumping on him for the last few weeks, I feel like I do like that MJF is kind of an old school heel in the sense that, a lot of his cheating isn't like overly extravagant. Like he beat Starks with a low blow and a cradle. I kind of dig that, honestly, because I feel like the low blow has been kind of nerfed in a way. I think it reached its peak with Shinsuke and AJ. But yeah, kick to the ball, cradle, gets it fucking done. Then Danielson runs him off. So I've already said I feel like they're going to be doing a long run with MJF, and Danielson, I think, will give him maybe the best match of his reign. If his reign goes a year and Danielson's coming in this early, don't be surprised, folks, if Danielson gave him his best match the entire run. And everybody's asking, I thought his match was going to be higher quality. Well, not everybody is a Bryan Danielson. So I'm low key looking forward to that match just to see what Danielson and MJF could bring out of each other. But yeah, first title defense successful as expected. Not really much to say there. Anything else that I know, because I know Chiefin mentioned this in the Discord on Game Night on Monday. We know Wardlow will be getting his rematch against Samoa Joe. Cool, I guess. Javaris, call me when MJF's mid-ass drops the belt. Calling going to come for a while from how I see it, my friend. But yeah, we'll definitely call you.
That might be over a year, honestly.
Yeah. I saw that next Wednesday, Swerve and fucking Keith are going to have a face-off. Now, see, now I'm getting a bit annoyed because I have to ask, how many times are we going to do this? How many times are we going to do the face-offs and the reconciliations and whatever? Like, push these fucking two.
My question is also, as far as like the next week thing, aren't we doing Sheeta versus Jamie for the women's title next week too? Like this coming Wednesday?
I think we might. Yeah, I think we might be. I've been seeing Sheeta saying something. If anybody could fill in the gaps, that might be happening, dude. You might be right, but I can't speak authoritatively on that. Should be a great fucking match, though. Sheeta's awesome. And yeah, Cass Shell's confirming, yes, that is happening next week.
Nice.
Yeah, Sheeta.
By the way, I don't know if you caught this, but Javaris kind of corrected himself. Because you responded to him when he said, call me when MJF's mid-ass drops the belt. And then he was like, no. Actually, call me when Keith Lee wins the title.
Well, I hate to say it. I don't even know if that call's coming.
Yeah,
but
I hope it does. I hope we get to call you on that, Javaris. I really do. I hope that we get to pick up that phone and make that call to you. But I'm not getting my hopes up, bro.
I ain't either, dude. That's my thing. I love Keith and I love Javaris. I'd love to like fucking spam this dude with hug emojis with Keith winning the title.
Yeah.
But it's AEW, and I'm not really having much hope right now. Like, if you're fucking doing face-offs between him and Swerve for the 5 millionth fucking time, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing over there? But
you're not using your brain.
No, they really, really aren't. It needs to be called out pretty consistently. But yeah, Jamie Sheeta should be a lot of fun. I really don't know what else to say about AEW, man.
I know that the big best of 7 series went on, continued this week, and Death Triangle won again. And then Kenny was like, every time you guys have won, you used that damn hammer, so our next match is going to be a no DQ match.
Okay. I will say in cool news, and I'm going to tie this in with AEW because, Tony Khan owns it. I saw earlier that on December 1st, or excuse me, January 21st, December's already passed, we're on December 17th, duh. January 21st, Athena's going to be defending the Ring of Honor Women's Championship against Miyu Yamashita.
Yeah,
So,
but it's not on an AEW show. It's at Prestige Wrestling.
yeah, I do like, though, that that belt is going to be working like other places. And honestly, that match sounds like a fucking banger. Those are
Dude,
the
I
kind of matches I
know.
want
I
Athena to
really
have.
hope that if they're gonna let her defend that title in other promotions, that they at least get the rights to air the match on YouTube on like Darker Elevation.
Oh, 100%. You'd be a fool not to, because yeah, that match is fucking awesome. I saw that and I'm like, yeah, way to go, both of you. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
Prestige has had some
Um,
real banger women's matches for main events this year. I know uh, they had a Taya Valkyrie versus Athena at one point this year, main event a show, and got 28 minutes.
oh wow, nice.
Mia Yim versus Maki Ito for the International Princess Championship main evented one of their shows that got 16 minutes. And then a regular old singles match between Miyu Yamashita and Maki Ito also main evented one of their shows. That also got around 16 minutes. So they've been giving some pretty awesome main event spots to some women and giving them some decent time to have great matches. I haven't actually seen any of those matches. I'd love to. But yeah, I'm hoping that Athena and Miyu get some time, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 22, 23, somewhere around there. And I hope that they're able to really go out there and kill it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't really know what else to say though about AEW. It's kind of a dud this week for me. I don't really know what else could really be discussed. Um, so I guess and Javor's going off on AEW in the chat there. I guess we can talk about SmackDown. And
Oh, are we done talking about Dynamite already?
I didn't feel like there was any if there's anything you want to talk about, bro, I am happy to talk about it with you. I just didn't think there was anything else to
I mean,
discuss.
I know
I
that
thought it was
you've been
kind of a
trying to make things positive, but we have to shit on them for something.
I mean, I feel like we kind of did, right?
Oh, no, but I
I mean,
mean
cuz
something very specific that I had in mind.
oh, okay. Well, then bring it to the table, friend. What do
Jungle
we got?
Boy Jack Perry pinned Brian Cage this week.
Uh No wrestling company's ever gonna get it with Cage, are they? Like Lucha Underground was the closest,
It's
and they shut
starting to
down
really
for
seem that way, man. Yeah, it's really sad.
damn. Oh God. I wouldn't mind it so much, quite honestly. Like I'd still be peeved on a fan level, just because I think Cage is really like a fucking beast. If Perry wasn't such an awful promo.
Yeah.
Like if he was a good promo and he had like that Danielson kind of underdog scrapper babyface energy, which at first I thought he did until he opened his mouth, and then I'm like, oh God, I was way off base. Then I'd be like, you know what? It's kind of eye rolly. It's like when Rey Mysterio would beat the Great Khali. It's eye rolly, but I get it. But like, why? Yeah, that's disappointing, man. That fucking sucks. So was it a good match at least? Like,
Oh, I honestly couldn't tell you. I didn't pay that much attention to the match. I just know that Perry won it, and that pisses me off.
yeah, I can't really say that I blame you, friend. Can't really say that I blame you.
In other absurd AEW news, did you hear about this? Chris Jericho lost to a local jobber today or this week.
I did hear about that. I didn't watch the clip though, so like I heard about it, but I didn't give myself
Oh,
the visual
brother.
component.
I feel like if you would have watched it unfold, you would have, like, the steam would have been coming out of your ears. You would have gotten so angry about it.
Maybe I should react to this then. Hold on a second.
Because, like, we open, Jericho comes out to his fucking music, and of course the crowd's singing it. He gets in the ring, and this dude is just in the ring. His name is Action Andretti, or Action Andretti. And
Yeah.
he looks like he's trying so hard to be Will Ospreay. He's got the fucking white tights on with the blue and lime green designs on them. He's got like the curly hair like a fucking Osprey's got going on. And then the match starts and he does the flippy shit just like Osprey. It's like, oh my god, this dude's really out here trying to be a fucking second rate Osprey. And the crowd gets really behind him, and then next thing you know, it's like a few minutes go by, and this dude is holding his own against Jericho, and then next thing you know, he fucking beats him. And then the next thing you know, the word drops on Twitter that he fucking signed a contract, that it's, oh, the Action Andretti is all elite. It's like, oh my god, Tony Khan. This dude really, and when I say this dude in this case, I'm actually talking about Tony Khan, not Action Andretti. I'm sure that Action Andretti is fine. I don't have a problem with that dude. He's getting his nut. Good for you, Andretti. But Tony Khan is fucking pathetic, man. This dude has the worst case of shiny new toy syndrome I have ever seen in the history of professional wrestling in my fucking life.
Yeah, first of all, I'm gonna 1,000% double down with you on that because you're just correct. And secondly, I'm watching this now. Just saw the flying forearm there from Andretti. Here's my thing. It's so funny that this was like a big news story for AEW this week because look, again, we try and be fair to every company. If you do something great, oh, that looked kind of shitty. If you do something great, we're gonna praise you for it. If not, whatever. One of my favorite like self-contained stories on an episode of Raw that WWE ever did was the debut of Shelton Benjamin because he gets drafted. He's one of the ones that when Triple H got drafted, just for those few hours of SmackDown before they made the big trade, he was laughing about it, saying, nah, hey, goodbye. Evolution point that out in a backstage segment. They jump Shelton. So they beat him up. Then he's in a backstage segment with Eric Bischoff and Stone Cold, asking what gets to be done about this. Bischoff, of course, being the heel, is like, well, Triple H runs this. So, keep your head down, stay out of his way, don't piss him off or whatever. Stone Cold being the babyface is like, oh, I'll tell you what you should do. You should confront Triple H. You should have a match with him tonight. And Bischoff's like, oh, that's your advice? And Shelton's like, yeah, I think that's great advice. I want to do it. They have their match. Long story short, Benjamin fucking wins. And it's a great fucking moment because Triple H is like freaking out. And you can even see him say at the end before Raw goes off the air, no fucking way. Like he mouths it. That's a story. You did a self-contained story through one episode. Oh, and by the way, before he got that one, before the match even started, he had people from Chris Benoit who said, look, our issue's on SmackDown. We're on SmackDown. This is Raw. This is your night tonight. Go out and take it. Mick Foley stops him in the hallway, says you only get one chance to make a great first impression. And then Hurricane, who I guess got jumped by Evolution or something happened to him earlier in the night, is like, Shelton, do all of us a favor, take Evolution down a peg. It was a great fucking story because they're building this guy up and they do the near falls and the whole thing was perfection. If you go back and you watch the episode of Raw, it was one of the, again, best self-contained stories they've ever done. You could have done something like that here. But I'm guessing what happened was they just trotted this guy out for a random matchup and he gets the upset, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
dude, apparently he had literally only ever had one match in the company before, and it was on an episode of Dark against QT Marshall, and people were impressed by him, and Tony Khan was impressed by him, and Chris Jericho was impressed by him, so much so that he was like, oh, that's the guy that I'm going to put over this week.
Yeah. Yeah, and like, again, I don't even necessarily mind it, but who benefits from this? Because when you just do a random fucking upset, especially in the age of social media and everything, where nothing really lasts long with the attention span and public consciousness and everything, people are going to forget about this not even a full week later. Jericho, I don't think Jericho doesn't even necessarily need to benefit. He's had such a long career and everything, but I feel like you do his character disservice when you don't at least make this part of a greater story. Like you could have done again, similar to Triple H and Benjamin. Maybe Andretti found it funny that Jericho tapped out to the swing, and you could show him watching that back on a laptop or his phone or something. Hager sees it because Hager's a fucking goofball. He says, "Oh, Chris, look at this. JAS jump him. They gang up on him, beat him up." Then Andretti, maybe in a backstage segment, says, you know what? I got kicked down, but I'm not out. Chris, let's do a match tonight. You could have even given it the main event spot. I don't know if I necessarily would have agreed with that because obviously we had MJF Starks. But you could have given it a higher spot on the show. You could have had this whole story on it, and then he gets the win. So you could have told a whole cohesive narrative. But no, you just want to blow your load because, oh, this is, like you said, the shiny new toy. I hate it, man. Like,
well, and
it's
I'm also
so lazy.
completely, like, Javaris is basically taking the words out of my mouth here because this is the problem that I proposed on Wednesday when it happened is Jericho. How many dudes did Jericho beat when he was the Ring of Honor World Champion? And now this random dude comes in and beats him after he loses the title? How bad does that make all those other dudes look? Why couldn't we have, for example, Bandito, who Jericho beat as ROH champion, come back and get his win back? Why couldn't we do the story that you're talking about where he's laughing at Jericho tapping out to the swing backstage, and then Jericho confronts him and he's like, oh, let's have a match. And then he beats him, surprise, hello, kind of thing tonight. Why couldn't we do that with Bandito? Why did that have to be this fucking random ass new guy that thinks he's Will Ospreay's kid?
And that's very true. And look, that's the thing. I'm trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, but what
No,
you're
but
saying
here's
is
the thing, though,
absolutely
dude.
right.
You're just illustrating how much deeper the problem is here than what even I realized. Because in my mind, my problem was you just had this random jobber beat Chris Jericho. How bad does that make all of the dudes that Jericho's been beating over the course of the last few months look, knowing that he beat all of them and he couldn't even beat this scrub? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
it's like, well, not only that, but this scrub is brand new to the roster. He just showed up. Nobody's going to remember his name in 6 months from now because he's going to be a flash in the pan, just like 60% of Tony Khan's fucking new signings always are. When was the last time anyone gave a shit about Danhausen? I couldn't tell you. When was the last time anyone gave a shit about Cole Carter? I still don't think anyone ever did personally, but you get the idea. And then, like, the third level of this is there's absolutely no story here beyond, oh, it's Chris Jericho spiraling. It's a one-sided story. They're not telling a complete story here. They're just telling the Chris Jericho story. He's the main character of his own story, and they're just using other elements to fill in the pieces around him when they could be telling a complete story here, giving other people opportunities to have stories of their own. But no, this has to be about Jericho.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think it's a huge waste. I think it's a waste of Jericho's name. I think, God, between Daniel Garcia and how they fumbled the fucking bag with him and now this, it's like, man, JAS. Because that's the thing. I can hate a faction, but you can at least make it work if you're genuinely benefiting people. I don't know who JAS has benefited. Because I don't think it benefited Blackpool Combat Club. If anything, it made them worse getting stuck in a cycle with them. Didn't benefit
Dude,
Garcia.
that's actually been like
yeah.
a theory that people have had, is that every single person, or in this case, every single thing, entity, I guess you could say, that Chris Jericho has worked with in AEW has basically exited that feud with Jericho worse off than they entered it.
And I would have to agree. I don't see where the lie is in that case. I mean, it's bad, dude. Like I'm like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Like, I don't know. I don't know. So you just mentioning the whole Jericho thing made me think about a story that was actually done really fucking well. And Tony can't even
That
be
was
bothered.
Shelton's first ever in-ring interaction with Triple H too. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like,
then dude,
Shelton had been
them,
in WWE and like on SmackDown television for like a couple years at that point. It wasn't similar to this in the sense that like he wasn't like brand new. It wasn't like his big debut on television or anything. It was just
right.
his first match against Triple H.
Hey, Galatea. And yeah, it was. And then he beats him the week after that. And I think he even beat him again the week after that. Beat him 3 fucking times. And like,
Wow.
but it made it part of a larger story of like, Triple H just can't seem to beat Shelton Benjamin. And they would never give a Bandito or somebody like that kind of story, because why would we want to make guys, right? That's fucking stupid. Yeah, Cass just said apparently MJF said Chris stole an entire year from him. I can understand that, because I think when you're in a program where you're just not actively benefiting, it's like best case scenario you're in purgatory, worst case scenario you're descending down the card and you're not benefiting, and it sucks. And Javaris is absolutely right. Look, you have a guy who is the closest thing we have to, in my mind, like a Dusty Rhodes as far as like blue collar, great look, all that stuff, and Eddie fucking Kingston. Where the fuck is Eddie Kingston? The people want Eddie Kingston. When MJF said Eddie
He was
Kingston's
another
never
one of
gonna
the
be a
names that
world
I
champion.
listed. Dude, on Wednesday, I was listing names. Bandito was the main one that I kept coming back to because he was one of the guys that Jericho beat as Ring of Honor champion that could really benefit from a rub like that. But I listed a bunch of names, including Eddie Kingston, as far as who would have been a better option than fucking Action Andretti to be the guy to just randomly beat Chris Jericho to tell this story of Jericho's downfall. and they chose this fucking rando, and then they're like, oh, whoa, this is so cool. We signed him now. Like, here's the list. I found it. Bandito, Danielson, Kingston, Keith Lee, Takeshita, Hobbs, Wardlow.
Oh, how fucking high I am on Takeshita. Takeshita could have used this.
Yeah.
Takeshita 100% could have benefited
And
from
he
this.
already signed that contract. He signed on the dotted line. Why not give him something like this?
God, see, Takeshita would have been a worthwhile investment. I would have had no complaints if you said Takeshita did this, because I think the world of that dude. You know that, because last week I was talking up his match with Moxley. But wow, fucking hell.
Yep, I'm telling you, man.
JAS was a mistake.
Bullshit.
Yeah, JAS was a huge fucking mistake. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Anything else now on AEW?
Nah, I'm good. We don't have to talk about Max and Ricky. You kind of already touched on it anyway.
Yeah. So I guess on to SmackDown,
which was great.
Yes. What would you? Oh, do we want to talk about the bad stuff first with Top Dollar going viral for the wrong reasons?
I mean, some people might argue there's no such thing as bad viral, right?
Some, but I'm guessing after seeing this clip, that argument wouldn't be very spirited.
Bro, are you just talking about the clip that I sent you, or did you see the other one too?
I didn't know there was another one, because I feel like the one you sent me I'd already seen.
So there was the one that I sent you, where he tries to do the flip over the top rope, and he gets caught on the top rope and basically flips over and like does like a tumble onto the floor, and then tries to play it off like, yeah, I'm the cool guy. But there was literally, they botched the finish of the match. Fucking one of the LDF guys gets Ashanti throws one of the LDF guys into his arms, and he's supposed to catch him in like sidewinder suplex position. He loses his fucking footing. I'm thinking he's gonna drop the guy. He has to use the rope to regain his balance, and finally he does, and they do their finish. But like he almost fucked that up real bad, but it looked pretty bad regardless.
I'm going to add Top Dollar's spill. I'm going to title it Gravity Says Not at a Top Dollar. Because that was bad.
Oh, that's a legendary title. I love it.
Not at a Top Dollar.
Oh, legend.
Look, just to scale it back a bit so I'm not a complete primo douche, I am, of course, happy the Top Dollar's okay. That's always scary when you botch like that. But, like, my dude, know your limits, for fuck's sake. Like,
oh wow,
like,
that's not where I thought you were going with that at all.
No, I mean, I don't know though. It's still, because again, I am glad he's okay. But like, why did he think he could do that dive? I don't. Like,
dude, he's done it before. He's hit that dive before.
Well, I guess then accidents happen, but I guess I'm only asking, dude, because you've shown me other clips of Top Dollar, and it just seems like he's gotten worse in this second run.
Well, that's why like, I thought that you were gonna say, my dude, Top Dollar hit the fucking gym.
Yeah,
that's legitimately what I thought you were gonna say, and I was ready to pop for it, but that's not the direction you went.
Yeah. And Foster asking the right questions, because I've always liked this team. So, is there a reason LDF have never gotten the tag titles? Because Foster, I guess the universe hates us, bro. You and me both.
They're still new. Take it easy on
them. But you know, like, I don't know. I'll tell you.
Immediately go to because the universe hates us, obviously.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how it feels like watching some parts of this fucking product. If I'm Swerve, I'm feeling vindicated as shit right now, because even though I'm kind of circling a drain in AEW, my baby don't work without me. Because Jesus Christ, I'm really thinking, like, if you're seeing those isolated clips of Hit Row, Swerve really was the glue that held it all together. Because without him, I don't know. But then again, to be fair to Hit Row, I don't even know if they've been able to rap or do what actually got them over in the first place. So yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm rooting for them. I personally like LDF, and of course, I love Santos. Oh my God, Santos! Appropriate reaction. But you know, I don't know. I'm just glad he's okay. They are getting a tag title shot next week. Like, Usos are gonna have fun with that one. Should be an easy retention for him, though.
Yeah.
So we'll I guess we'll see what happens there. So what anything that jumped out to you because you said SmackDown was great this week that you want to talk about? Maybe put some positivity on this shit.
Well, we opened with the women's tag title match. That was pretty damn great.
Yeah, with the mystery attacker ends up helping Dakota and Io, and we later find out that it's Xia Li. um,
Well, that wasn't great. That was less than ideal, but the match was still really good.
that's good. You figured it
Io out
would
here
be. Yeah,
stunting on everyone.
of course she's Io. It's a Tuesday for her, really.
Exactly.
Um, Dakota, I'm happy for her that she gets to have a run like this because she's just a fucking sweetheart and a very talented
Yeah.
performer. Um, Xia Li though, because dude, I'll tell you. See, and it's weird because sometimes, yeah, you do want to do a payoff quickly because you want to rip the band-aid off if that's really the answer you're committed to. So I do think they were right to reveal that it was Zaya right away because if you milked it and then it was Zaya, you'd probably get a lot more backlash. But it was amazing how much interest, like who was the hooded attacker generated, like on
Yeah.
my side of wrestling Twitter.
Yeah.
If they were like, is it Chelsea Green? I think somebody put out a man's name. I forget who they said, but that was pretty fucking funny. Like a lot of names came out, nobody thought Zaya, and then when it was Zaya, it's like, oh, Zaya. And I don't hate Zaya. I've tried to take up for her before on here, but it's like, man, how cool would it have been if it was Chelsea Green or some shit? And then it's like it's running with Bailey. Some people even thought it was Sasha, and I'm like, man, that's insane.
God.
So yeah, Zaya, maybe this will be the push that works out. Doubt it though. Um, so overall thoughts on the direction Names go. What tag team is going to beat Io and Dakota? You think? What tag team do you think has the best chance to do it? Or do you think it's a tag team we haven't seen yet?
I mean, really, I probably would have said Tegan and Liv before this, but obviously, I mean, maybe they could have if it wasn't for the Zaya thing, but now, maybe Shayna and Ronda. If Ronda loses the title to someone other than Shayna, and then Shayna and Ronda start teaming, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, that could happen. God, I just want Shayna to be pushed. Apparently they broke Raquel's arm again. That was something. So, maybe not total heels. I don't know. But
Raquel's a baby face though on the main roster, dude.
on the main roster, so you got to put an asterisk there because this is beyond the bounds of the main roster. We've seen things. We know what she's really about.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't say it in real life.
yes, and that's important. Um, but yeah, so they're kind of doing stuff. I don't know. I mean, I even kind of checked out of the Bray stuff because I didn't even mention that Alexa did a tease with Bianca going for her
Oh
sister Abigail.
God, dude, that pissed me the fuck off so much. I'm sure it did you too.
I died a little inside. Yeah, I had a good cry. It was needed. It kept me going. Yeah. So Uncle Howdy appeared, and that was pretty cool. So they're
I
progressing
mean,
that story at
I
least.
think the entire segment, like the whole purpose of that entire segment was just to be like, hey guys, they really are different people. How about that?
I picture you in the audience at that exact tone. Wow, they are different. And just looking at the guy, right? And it's like the guy's just looking at you like, yeah, buddy, please get away from me. Okay. And it's a good fucking time. But I'm even starting to wonder, and I think it'd be an interesting twist. I'm not saying I would love it, but I think it'd be interesting if now that we know for sure, definitively that Uncle Howdy and Bray are different people, which I think we always knew, but again, confirmation. If we have Bray and LA Knight team against Uncle Howdy and a partner of his choosing that's part of the Wyatt Six,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. I honestly, I don't want Bray and LA Knight to fight yet in like a singles match. I want them to tag up against his Uncle Howdy and whoever from Wyatt Six. And then, of course, they obviously lose because LA Knight's a prick and they can't get on the same page. But it would just continue the story of Bray wanting to fight this person off. He's not friends with Uncle Howdy. He's not down with Uncle Howdy, or what Uncle Howdy represents, like him trying to be a worse person, him trying to be the monster that is still kind of inside of him. So maybe they'll go that route. I don't know. The question still looms of when Bray is going to wrestle again. And I'm no closer to the answer this week than I was last week. but the story is still interesting me.
God,
So
ain't that a
we'll have
bite
to
in
see
the
what happens.
ass?
Wait, say that again.
I said, God, ain't that a bite in the ass?
It is. It's a huge bite of my ass.
They are
But
dragging their fucking heels on this, man. Holy shit.
it's even getting to the point with me, especially now with the Alexa stuff preceding this, where I'm like, okay, you're losing me now. You're losing me. I don't want you to lose me, Bray, because this is the same fucking story that made me sob my eyes out on your return promo. Like, come on, baby. Don't tell me the magic died, and I'm the fucking nervous one in the ambulance of the defibrillator. No! Damn it, live! And then you're the rational one that's like, John, call it. Shut up! No! No!
Jesus.
And then
You
I
paint such a
tearfully
vivid
give the
picture,
time.
bro.
I know. And then I hug Javaris and I sob in his arms, and he's like, it's okay, John. It was never meant to live, but it could have. It could have. I know. But it was never going to.
One of these days,
was never-
kiddo. One of these days, kiddo, you're gonna learn not to trust WWE with complex stories.
You think I'd learned my lesson about it. See, it really does come to a point, people, and I can be self-aware enough to admit this, that it really becomes a John problem. Because, like, sooner or later, you have to fucking learn. And if you're not learning, then I'm going to tell myself for the first time, I wish I had a mirror in front of me, suck less. Like, figure it the
Wow.
fuck out. But, you know, I still have hope, and that makes me a fool, I guess. So,
Ooh.
yeah, I guess I deserve what I get.
I felt the sting of that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mark, you're right. We did determine code names last night. That's not what defibrillators do. But you know what? It's my tragic fantasy, damn it. And you know what, Foster, you might be right. Am I the problem for trusting them? No, they need to be better. You know what? Thank you, Foster, for saving me from my own self-imposed victim blaming. But yeah, that was the latest developments in Bray, LA Knight, blah blah blah. What was the thing? Oh yeah, of course, the Sami Zayn kind of ceremony thing with the bloodline. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. If there was anything else you want to talk about from SmackDown,
No,
and then
good.
it kind of jumped out to you. Oh well, yeah, they're all in the ring. Sammy looking good. Sammy looking fresh. And Roman Reigns seems to be in a good mood. He's like, man, you know, we dominated War Games. And he's giving the hug to all the members of the bloodline. Sammy's kind of reveling in his hug. He's like, yeah, I'm in the family. I'm in the family. And, you know, and then Roman Reigns is like, it was going to be a good night for you. It's going to be a good night for all of us. But Kevin Owens, he's still a problem. Kevin Owens, he won't go away. He's still a problem for you. And if he's a problem for me, if he's a problem for you, he's a problem for me. And if he's a problem for me, he's a problem for the whole bloodline. But we're going to fix this problem. Because, see, you and I are going to be tagging up, Roman and Sammy. It's going to be December 30th. And they said, you know, we're going to be facing Kevin Owens and whoever he can find as a tag team partner. And then Sammy starts to talk. And he says, you know, Roman, you're right. You're right. All this time, he's still dragging me down. He's still a cancer. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm his only friend. And that phrasing, Roman's eyes kind of like perk up, like, the fuck you just said.
Present tense, are you his friend still?
Well, I was tense in the present after Sammy said that. I'm like, fuck.
God, your wordplay. Holy shit.
And that's why I make the big bucks, Daddy. But yeah, he's like, no, wait a minute. Sammy has total me energy.
I misspoke just then.
I misspoke. Yo, hold on, King. And he goes to, you know, kind of correct the record. When Jonathan Cena shows up on the Titantron.
John Anthony Felix Cena.
Oh my God, is that really his full name? God damn.
Yes.
Bro, you
didn't know that?
Like,
yes.
You have like 3 first fucking names, bro. Simmer the fuck down.
4. Well, Cena, I guess, isn't a first name. That's fair.
Yeah. So I'm loving chat right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, Cena shows up and he's, you know, kind of riffing, you know, on Chris' stuff. He's like, oh, I got a text from Kevin Owens and he sent me all these weird emojis, which, you know, classic Cena, you know, low-hanging fruit humor there. But he says, you know, December 30th, I'll be tagging with Kevin Owens against the Usiest Sami Zayn, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. He calls himself Cena Claus. Ho, ho, holy shit, he says as he walks out. Roman has a good laugh. Don't know if he's just allowed himself to laugh now that Sammy's in the group or what's going on there. But that's a stacked tag match.
Yes.
I am very much looking forward to it. And being typical me, as we just saw from me spiraling earlier, I called my shot on Twitter. I hope that Kevin Owens pins Roman Reigns in that tag match on the 30th, and that's how we set up Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens at Rumble. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, let's do it. So that's what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for Kevin to hit that stunner.
Incredible, I have to admit.
Yeah, hit that stunner, get that pin, get that title shot, and I'll get all turned up over it, and probably other things that are inappropriate. And
Turned
Foster's
up,
here, and I don't want to
that's
be too
not the
lewd.
word that I thought you'd follow up turned with. I thought you'd say turned on.
Well, I mean that too, but Foster's here, and I like to be a bit more appropriate when somebody's so adorable and pure as in our chat. So yes, a lot of things that are definitely not age appropriate are gonna happen in my body when that happens. So let's go KO hashtag just keep fighting. So that's gonna be a great tag match.
Love the hashtag, yes.
Absolutely, and we're gonna get some great character beats, I'm sure, between Roman and Sammy. I gotta ask you though, man, because I mean you're a fan, and you have a good face and good opinions.
Well,
So I'm gonna yeah, I thought so. I thought you'd appreciate that. I'm gonna survey you on this because a lot of people are likening when they excommunicate Sammy. Like I know Dominique, I think himself has said this, and I don't necessarily disagree with him. And I think it's interesting. He's like he feels like it's gonna be as heartbreaking for people to a point as when the Shield dissolved because it's just so good and it's so over right now. Do you think when something's this over, just in a general sense, like obviously there's always a risk, right? So I'm not asking you, is there a risk? I think that's pretty obvious. The more pointed question is, do you think the risk is worth taking? Do you think maybe if they had a plan, say, to break them up before, say, Chamber, for instance, that they should extend that? Do you think, like, I don't know, or do you just put all the heat on Roman and like, no, this is the perfect time precisely because it's so over? I feel like they're going to lose something really good here, man, and I don't know how to feel about that. How do you feel about it?
Can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
When exactly do people think that they're going to be broken up?
I mean, wasn't DBK saying like even like before at Chamber because it's going to be in Quebec or something, like it's going to be in Canada. I know that was one date. Dude, there were people. It's so funny you asked that. There were people thought that the breakup was going to happen, and you and I even talked about this
Tonight.
This past Friday.
Right. Yeah, last night. Right.
Yeah.
Last night.
Yeah, last night. And you and I, now to be fair, you and I both were like, "That's not fucking happening.
No.
That's just ridiculous."
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people, dude, that'll think it's going to happen on the 30th. You know?
I honestly, I think I've reached a point with this storyline that I am going to refuse to believe that the breakup is happening until it, like, there are very obvious seeds planted that it's happening. Like, I feel like there are really no hints right now that there's any level of trouble in paradise at all. I feel like the bloodline is completely cohesive. Arguably, they're more cohesive than they've ever been because of the fact that Sammy has finally earned Jey Uso's trust. Sammy and Roman are literally fucking tagging in a huge match that's going to main event SmackDown in 13 days now against Kevin Owens and John Cena. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Sammy and Roman manage to win that, but I'm guessing Sammy's going to end up beating the pin or just tapping out to Cena, STF, something like that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that they're breaking up within the next 2-3 months. I think the absolute earliest, I will say this. God, this is really hard. I think the earliest that I could project any kind of real breakup is like 6 weeks-ish before Mania. Is that Chamber?
That might be Chamber, actually.
Yeah, that is basically Chamber. So that's the absolute earliest, though, that I could see any kind of problems happening in the bloodline. That's the earliest.
Yeah, you might be right, man. You might be right.
But even then, like, the thing is, like, it's in Montreal, which, like, part of me thinks that, like, the crack in the bloodline could just be Sami Zayn winning a Chamber match.
That would be, dude, that'd be so good. Because I've already said this, but I just want to repeat since it's relevant context. I really, really, really don't want that rumor of Kevin and Sammy winning the tag titles to be true. I think it'd be ridiculous.
Dude, can you
Um,
imagine though if like God, I don't know. How would they God, I feel like we're back to I feel like we just had this discussion just a few weeks ago. But like in my mind, the quote unquote breakup that people keep on alluding to, it's not going to be a breakup. The thing that's going to happen is Sami Zayn is going to turn on the bloodline, and it's going to turn him into a super mega babyface.
yeah,
That's the thing that's got to happen. You can't you can't. I think. I mean, look. I shouldn't say you can't. You could obviously have them excommunicate him and do the beatdown and turn him. Do the whole sympathetic thing. But to me, the absolute way to go is to have him be the one that outsmarts them. Have him be the one that was the master manipulator, like he said he was at the beginning of this whole thing, when he did the whole little bit to try and get into the bloodline in the first place, and he's been just stringing them along the entire time. And then by the end of it, I don't want the payoff to be, oh, Sami and Kevin go after the tag titles. That's lame as fuck. The payoff needs to be Sami Zayn Universal Champion.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I gotta say too, bro. Since we're speaking of Roman, and I never thought that we'd be able to tie a discussion like this with TWitWoW. But you know what? I'm gonna boil it down to a question for you, so that I don't go on, and then you're just like, no, I don't think that's happening. So I'm just gonna ask you point blank. You and I, we keep up with Marvel and DC. We know Black Adam's done in a God scrapped. How likely do you think now Rock versus Roman at Mania is now that Rock's got nothing else going on? What's your percentage at?
Sadly, I would put that at like minus 400, like basically like 5 to 1 odds, like 80% likely to happen.
That's what I was looking for. I was looking for that kind of a number. Yeah, yeah. You know what? In a way, I'm glad you said it because if I had done like my whole spiel on it, I at least know you would have had my back in that case. But at the same time, I hate that you said that because I agree with you. And God, like I just have to say as succinctly as possible, my biggest concern for Roman right now in the Bloodline storyline, which has got so much good shit happening for it,
Yeah.
is that the Mania match, it's going to be the payoff is going to be a fucking dud because either it's going to be Rock or I still worry that it might be Cody. And I hate both options. I might actually hate Rock a bit more only because of the part-time thing and like Roman's going over.
I really don't
But
get like can I go on a tangent?
you can.
Why does the WWE keep on feeling the need to bring in celebrity guests for WrestleMania when the WrestleMania brand sells itself?
I don't know. I agree with you, but I don't fucking know.
You don't need fucking Logan Paul. You don't need The Rock. You don't need to keep bringing back The Undertaker and Stone Cold Steve Austin to WrestleMania for WrestleMania to be a fucking sellout crowd and to do fuck tons of views on Peacock. You don't need all that shit. You really don't. Like it barely adds anything. If anything, you could argue that it's detracting from the shows. Cause like we have this amazing story being built up with Sammy, and then it's like we're gonna have to take a detour where The Rock's gonna like win the Royal Rumble and then be Roman's WrestleMania opponent, and then in the meantime, the television shows are still gonna be getting carried by Roman and Sammy's shit. But that story we're going to know is just going to be put on pause and it's not going to be able to really advance until after Roman gets past The Rock. Unless we somehow get like a split story where Roman is like falling apart at the seams and either Sammy or even Jey Uso, because he sees that Roman is maybe like mentally not in a place to be the head of the table anymore, and he tries to like pick at the scraps of his mental unwellness, and he tries to target him, and we get like we've been seeing rumors that Roman's going to defend titles on both nights of WrestleMania. Maybe he defends the WWE title on one and the Universal title on the other. He loses the title to whoever he defends it against on the first night, and then he retains against Dwayne on night two, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that could be an option. because the Universal title reign came before the WWE title reign, so that's like the really fucking long one.
Yeah.
So I honestly wouldn't mind him retaining that if it was against The Rock. God, dude, imagine if his 2 title defenses were Cody and The Rock, though. Fuck, dude.
I don't, that's the thing that I don't get though, is like this whole Roman Reigns title run has been so fucking story driven. What story is there for fucking Cody to beat him for it?
I think it's the story doesn't even connect to Roman in any way. If there is any quote unquote story, it's like Cody's personal journey of finally winning a world
Right.
title, for his
But
quote
it's
unquote
not a
dad and
story
everything.
that involves Roman Reigns, just like Jericho's story on Wednesday of him spiraling doesn't have anything to do with Action Andretti. It's just a Chris Jericho story. It's just a Cody story. It's a fucking AEW story.
Exactly. God, I don't know.
Whereas if you look at the Triple H Shelton Benjamin story you told about earlier, that was a two-sided story because you had Shelton Benjamin showing up on Raw for the first time, wanting to try and figure out what his place is on Raw, trying to find where he is in the pecking order, pissing off the wrong guy. Now we need to do this, and he actually has some success early on. It's an early success story for Shelton, but at the same time, oh shit, it's Triple H spiraling as well because he can't beat this new guy. Like, there's a lot of anxiety going on there with Triple H. It's like, it's a multi-dimensional story, and of course, if fucking Cody really does come back and get to challenge and maybe even beat Roman on one of the WrestleMania nights, that's a one-dimensional bullshit story.
Yeah, and I fear that that's the story though that they're gonna opt for. Maybe my worries are unfounded. I don't know, but it's pricking in the back of my fucking mind, man, because the last thing he did was that heroic and courageous get the fuck out of here, working injured at Hell in a Cell, and all that stuff. So then, what a great babyface moment, right, so to speak, to do that, and then you come back and you win the fucking Rumble. I hate it because personally, I would love Sammy to, like you said, either win a chamber match to qualify or God, Sammy winning a fucking Rumble.
Yeah.
I'd lose my goddamn mind, dude. Um, I just that is just to put it plainly again to everybody. My biggest concern, whether unfounded or not, is just that Roman's WrestleMania is gonna suck, and it's such a shame because I'm loving what the Bloodline's doing, and when I'm looking at the options that WWE may be most tempted by, and especially now that DC is getting a hard reboot with James Gunn and Rock's got nothing going on with Black Adam. I don't want that match. I never wanted that match. The first time they floated it around, I was like, pass. I never cared for it, and I'm hoping that they don't waste a Mania on it. If they were gonna do it, I was even telling Angel this the other day because I was kind of catching him up on wrestling because he doesn't watch it nearly as much anymore. I said,
Good for
if
him,
they were gonna
honestly.
do the match, do it at fucking SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Cause like SummerSlam, at least, like, no about that. I'm telling you, bro, if his 2 title matches suck, you and I may have to call an audible and skip because, like I told you, when Charlotte was defending against what was it, fucking what was it? That match that I told you I did not want to. What was it? It was Charlotte Ronda. It was fucking Charlotte Ronda,
This
and I'm
year,
like, dude,
yeah,
I'm just letting you
earlier
know
this
right
year.
now. Yeah, I'm like, I just do not want to do that match, and you were totally down with it. You're like, yeah, man, I totally get it. I may feel the same way about these. I may want to stomach watching them just because Roman's Reigns been so dominant, but don't do that man like this. Don't do that man
No,
like
dude,
this. But
straight up, I would be down to watch him versus The Rock if it's at Mania, but if they do him and Cody, I'm not watching it.
yeah, I don't blame you. Because I 100% expect Cody to go over, and I can't stomach that. I can't stomach that
Dude,
if I'm
even if
honest.
Cody wouldn't go over, that would just feel like a waste of a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, when like Sammy was right fucking there most immediately. They're probably already going to give Kevin his matches, and even I have to say, like, I love Kevin to death, but you shouldn't abuse something when other people are hungry for a spot. But Kevin's done great stuff with him. Drew, I feel like you could slot him back at any time, and I feel for Drew, man. I want him to get back on fucking track too. Yeah, just a lot of great guys that I think you could choose. Shinsuke never got his title match with Roman. I will never forget that. So yeah, Rumble's going to be so interesting, man. In a way, like, I both can't wait for Rumble in the positive sense, like, oh, I'm so excited. But in another way, because of the
You're
worries I
dreading
have,
it.
I'm like, I can't wait to just get past Rumble,
Yeah.
just so that we know, like, okay, this is happening, kind of thing. Um, But yeah, that's everything going on with the bloodline.
Updated
And
betting odds for 2023 Royal Rumble matches, updated 2 days ago.
okay, what do we got?
Oh my god. For the men's Royal Rumble match, Cody Rhodes remains the overwhelming favorite at plus 100.
Jesus
The American
Christ.
Nightmare's been out since June as he continues to recover from surgery on a torn pec. Sami Zayn has seen his betting odds skyrocket as he now holds the second best odds at plus 300. The Rock has the third best odds at plus 400, and it's easy to guess why.
Yeah.
The Rock is followed by Seth Rollins at plus 1200, Theory at plus 1400, and Kevin Owens at plus 1600.
I really, again, I can't wait for everything Rumble. Mainly, also part of me to get past it so that we know for sure. But as it stands right now, and I think I could say this because Rumble isn't until late January, right? So I could
Yeah,
say
dude,
this
it's
now.
literally 6 weeks from today.
I don't like to spoil anything for a Rumble minigame, but dude, it's so far out that I can say this now because my opinion may change based on the booking. As it stands right now, I see Sammy making Final Four in the Rumble this year.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I think WWE has to be self fucking aware of where Sammy is right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna milk the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Like, like I said last week when we were on this show, I talked about Santino talking about the big pop he got from the crowd for his Rumble, the big 40-man Rumble. Sammy's pop, if people know that he's in the final two and has an actual fucking shot at winning this thing, it's gonna make that pop look like amateur hour. That building is gonna explode. So I see him as final four, maybe even final two. And God, if Sammy would win the fucking thing, oh my God, dude. Oh, the happiness. Oh, the fucking happiness. I want it so bad. But yeah, that's Roman. That's Bloodline. That's everything going on there. Anything else to talk about on SmackDown?
Probably, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's see, we had that. We had the LA Knight bullshit. We had that. Okay, we already talked about it. Did we talk about Gunther versus Ricochet?
We did, and I did see Ricochet got a standing ovation, and good for that dude.
Yeah.
I know Braun came out to save him with like a post-match beatdown or whatever, so they're gonna do Braun Gunther.
It's like, bro,
I'm gonna.
didn't you fucking lose in the World Cup tournament? What the fuck are you doing out here now?
Yeah. Yeah. I I'm gonna say it right now. I personally hope if we're not gonna do Gunther Seth, because I just fucking love that idea, or like a monster house fight matchup like Gunther versus Lesnar. I honestly would not mind if they gave me Gunther versus Sheamus again, so Sheamus can become a Grand Slam champion. The IC title is all that he fucking needs. Like, just run that match back. Sheamus goes over. I think him and the Brawling Brutes have been doing great enough work. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't be angry about it. And they have genuinely good matches. I enjoyed their match at Cardiff. I've been meaning to go back and watch their Donnybrook Street fight from Extreme Rules earlier this year. As I'm, as we're getting closer to our year-end awards, I just want to make sure any matches I was curious about if they would get any kind of a mention. Yeah, like I don't want Gunther Braun. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Especially because I fear that Braun would fucking win the title, and I don't want that. I love the look of the new IC title, and I love it with Gunther. Like, this dude is fucking legit. Like, he reminds me of those workhorse early fucking Intercontinental champions that are like, yeah, you have your world champion, but I fucking run this shit because I can dominate anybody. And yeah, I just kind of hope we run Gunther Sheamus back personally at this point because I think Sheamus deserves it.
Yeah.
I think he's been working his fucking ass off. I think it's solid matches. And fuck Braun Strowman. That's
Yes.
really where I am with it.
Yep. That
Um,
pretty much covers everything that I would want to talk about on SmackDown. Then, so we can move on.
all right, well that covers all the wrestling because I'm trying to think if there's anything like within the week. I mean, obviously we're still plugged into Stardom. We did New Blood recently. I feel like all of our like passionate Stardom discussions though happen within our reaction videos. So I won't belabor any points here. So I guess now I'll turn it over to you. Have you watched any wrestling outside of what we've covered this week?
That's a really good question, and I'm tentatively going to say no unless I think of something while you're talking.
Then I'm also tentatively going to say no myself. So we can open things up to Q&A, and while
I
Q&A
will
is
say
going on, you
though,
can still think.
Stardom
Yeah.
was fucking wonderful this week.
God, I love it so much,
This
dude.
was one of my
It's so
this dude. I think maybe it's because the tag league is over, and the tag league was just kind of a drag this year. But I feel like this was one of our best Stardom weeks since the 5-star.
I would agree. I did not care for Tag League. I've been very honest about that, but I feel like we got back on track. And I'm loving what's happening with Lady C and even Walker now.
Well,
They've gotten me
that's the
reinvested
thing
in that.
too, right? Is like not only have we been getting a lot of storyline development, uh, like between like all the press conferences and stuff like that, but like New Blood was great. We got 2 solid shows to react to, like, and yeah, like really the press conferences were really good, and I think those happened like earlier this week, so those would count as part of the week in wrestling, and like
Yes.
Lady C's promo, and then the fucking match that she had with Nana A. Like, god damn, I never thought I'd see the day that I would end up putting a non-subtitled. I mean, we got translations later on, but a non-subtitled Japanese promo in my promo of the year honorable mentions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's
She's killing
how
it, man.
good her delivery is that you can feel her fucking passion just through her delivery.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so happy for her that she's getting this story about like all these factions wanting her and shit. Cause I'm like, yeah, Lady C, get that push. Hoping she can make the most of it and hoping Stardom can make the most of what they have in her in general. So
Alex
yeah.
Alex Foster said thoughts on the rumor that Triple H has been disappointed by a handful of returns. I mean,
Um
did you see that GIF of Top Dollar? I mean,
I guess if we're transitioning to Q&A, yeah, Foster, I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but I don't know. I think it's hard to speak internally about anything. But if he was disappointed, I can't really necessarily say that I blame him. If he isn't disappointed, he's a better man than me because I would be. Um, no, Foster, you didn't jump the gun. I jumped the
no,
gun
we opened the
because
floor to Q&A, and then while we were waiting for you guys to ask questions, I just talked about Stardom.
yeah. So you didn't do anything wrong, Foster. No apologies needed. I love that he feels the need to apologize for even the most innocent stuff. You're beautiful. I wish more of humanity was like you. I'm going to take this as a question from Galateo. Where is Tennille? That's my SmackDown hot take. Why is she here if she's not actively wrestling? Oh,
Oh,
wow.
she's
Tennille once
been
again being
teaming with
underused.
her real life hubby, Riddick Green.
I see what you did there. Yeah, Tennille's another one, man, where I'm going to look back on her career and be like, she could have done so much more than what she did, and fuck everybody that didn't make that happen. Oh, God, she's so much better than
She
this.
just wrestled on SmackDown, not this week, but the previous week. She
Yeah,
went against
so I
Shayna.
guess if it's,
She went against Shayna this past week.
yeah, I guess if we don't see her compete for 2 weeks in a row, then, oh, Tennille's in a gauntlet match next week. Winner gets a title match. Oh, that should be interesting.
There we go.
So yeah. Let's hope that that works out for her.
Oh,
Any other questions, guys? I want to make sure that I'm not missing any in the chat.
oh, you did.
Caster Sales did ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's not the big one. That's the really big one because all that news dropped this week, bro. Holy shit. It's happening. Last week it was like an, maybe. Last week it was, she's going to be at Wrestle Kingdom. This week we got fucking confirmation.
Yeah. Huge. Fucking huge.
Mercedes Varnado is officially going to be working multiple New Japan dates. And we also got a confirmation that she's going to be working one Stardom date.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's very interesting. Very interesting. I'm hoping the one Stardom date they get a great fucking match out of her. I want
Yeah.
to start talking about those match of the year contenders
I think
sooner
Meltzer
rather
said
than
something
later.
about it. It was going to be for one of their biggest shows. Something big that's going to be happening in like April, I think he said.
I wonder if that would, because I know the Stardom X Stardom like those shows that happen in March. I wonder if that's going to be those shows, but now they're going
Which
to be in
show?
April instead of March. The shows, I forget the name of them, but it's where Shuri defended the title back to back against Mayu or
Oh, at
Julia
the
and then
end of
Mayu.
March.
Yeah, but he's saying
Um,
April, so I'm just wondering if the schedule got shifted around a bit. Is what I'm saying.
right.
Uh,
Let me
Um,
look really quick. The big end of March shows were Stardom World Climax.
Yeah.
April's usually Cinderella tournament, so something tells me that Meltzer might be misreporting here because April is Cinderella tournament season.
Yeah. No
Unless
way, Sasha. Yeah.
maybe they'll do Stardom World Climax like a week later, and it'll be like the first weekend or something in April or something like that. Let me actually look at
Yeah.
April of 2023 and see what it's structured like. Okay, yeah, that's probably what it is. April 1st and 2nd are a Saturday and a Sunday in April. So I bet you it's those. I bet you that it's going to be like a Stardom World Climax, and it's going to be one or maybe even both of those shows.
All right. All right. I'm excited, man. I mean, there's really not much else to say right now until more comes together. I just think Stardom's roster is already so talented without Mercedes
Mm-hmm.
that when you bring her into the mix, it's like virtually every match, even if it's not a match of the year contender, it'll probably be the best match you've seen that week. And yeah, I think this is a match made in heaven. I think it's going to be absolutely astounding for everybody involved.
Have you ever
So
heard
like,
of the
all right.
phrase force multiplier?
I think I have, yes.
Yeah, a force multiplier is a factor or a combination of factors that gives personnel or weapons the ability to accomplish greater feats than without it. Basically, uh, it's something that increases everything around its ability to do something, right?
Yeah.
That's Sasha Banks, man. This Stardom roster's already exceptional, but you add her to the mix, she's a fucking force multiplier, man. She makes everyone else's jobs a little bit easier to do. She makes everyone else look a little better, and she increases the ceiling for everyone else's potential best match.
Dude, it's going to be fascinating too seeing her interact with those women promo wise. Like, how are the women as characters going to react to Sasha? Who's going to give her props? Who's going to be
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know,
I'm
what the
very
fuck's she doing here?
curious to see if she works on learning any Japanese or if she already knows any Japanese. I mean, we know she's already a huge fucking weep, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if she already had like a very baseline level of Japanese already. Of not fluency, but like understanding at least a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, her whole fucking run from the matches to the promos, they could make some real magic here. And again, even the business side, I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm curious what those Stardom World subscriptions are going to be. And like I mentioned to you, even beyond the Stardom World subscriptions, I'm curious what the pay-per-view buy rates are going to be for pay-per-views that people know she's on. And especially if she's in like any
Yes.
big marquee matches, which I mean, to be honest, she should be for every pay-per-view that she's on.
Yeah,
You
I
never want
haven't
to
seen any
waste.
updated
Yeah.
numbers for 2022, but I checked and I saw that the end of 2021, like December of 2021, Stardom World had 10,000 subscribers, but almost 7,000 of those 10 were not in Japan. They were worldwide.
Oh, nice. That's huge.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I really have to wonder how many more get into Stardom just to see Mercedes. And really, at this point, it's not going to be Stardom as much early. It may be in March or April or whenever that happens, but it's going to be New Japan World that's going to get the uptick in subscriptions for January, and not just for Mercedes, but for Wrestle Kingdom, which people subscribe for in the first place, but then also for Kenny Omega coming back. Like, there's probably at least a few dozen thousand, if not a few hundred thousand, AEW hardcores and Kenny Omega hardcores that will subscribe to New Japan World just to see him versus Osprey.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, I think Bushiroad's about to make some good money. I think it's going to be a good time for them to say the least.
They're about to
Just want
make
to
some
survey.
really good money. The real question becomes whether the investment pays itself off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've heard that she is getting paid 200K per appearance.
Damn.
I know. And she's fucking worth that kind of money, but I'm very curious to see if she financially is able to make that money back for them and then some. You know what I mean?
Exactly. because that's the ticket. So here's the thing: those rabid Sasha Banks fans, this is your moment. This is
Yes.
your vindication.
Exactly.
Because if you want to prove it, if you want to prove everything you've said about her all these years and not let her carry the weight alone, you gotta show up for her now. Now is because here's the thing, dude. To me, if she does it with Stardom, that's the most impressive thing you could do. Not because Stardom obviously is a shit company. Obviously, we adore Stardom, but like to do it in a foreign company where you're a guy Jin, rather than taking the easy route and going to AEW or even going to TNA and kind of reviving the Knockouts division just by yourself. I feel like this is the ultimate challenge for her. Can I come in as a foreign transplant and elevate this fucking company and be kind of a spiritual ace in a way, or be somebody that comes in, gives everybody the rub, and leaves the company in a better place than I found it? And can I make them more money? Sasha fans, this is your chance to really be a part of that. You know, are you going to buy the pay-per-views? Are you going to buy at the very least, if you can't buy the pay-per-views, which I get it, they come at a high price point, again,
Oh my
$60 for a
God.
ticket.
Yeah. That's
Um,
it's a lot. Wait, did you say
but at very
60? I
least,
thought it was 30.
um, dude, the times that I've looked at it when I've been tempted to be like, oh, we got to be up really late, maybe I should just buy us tickets, I've always seen 60 personally. Now, maybe with the
Holy
Japanese economy,
fuck.
that's gone down. I know some events are 30, you're right, but the events that like are really big, again, the ones that I think she would be on, they're
Yeah.
60. So
Jeez.
like, so here's the thing, folks, with the way the economy is right now, new Stardom World subscription is less than $10. So
Dude,
like,
I looked it up,
yeah,
and she's making like between 25 and 30 million yen per appearance, and it only costs 999 yen for a one subscription to New Japan or Stardom World.
yeah,
Now, on the low end of that, the 25 million, you would need about 25,000 people to subscribe for her to pay her fee, to pay that 200K, to pay that 25 million yen. But
yeah.
at 30 million yen, we're talking about 30,000 subscriptions.
Yes.
I don't know how many people are already subscribed to New Japan World. I'd be very curious about that number. I would assume it's in the 200,000 to 250,000 range, but I'm very curious to see the kind of numbers that she drives. And again, the thing is, January specifically, it won't just be her. It'll be the Wrestle Kingdom thing, which I'm sure that we're going to have some comparative statistics. You can look back at other years of Wrestle Kingdom and see how they did then. But then also Kenny Omega is going to be showing up. That's going to drive some. You know, there's other stuff happening. It's not just her. Muta is having a big match where he's teaming with Tanahashi and Yota, or who's the fucking young lion that looks like Tanahashi, John, that just got back?
Oh,
Shooter,
fuck.
Shota Umino.
Shota Umino.
Yeah.
Shota Umino.
It's the three of them versus Lij. It's like Naito,
Yeah.
Sonata, and I forget who else. Maybe Bushi. I don't know. But yeah, that's gonna be like a fun Wrestle Kingdom match. I think you and I are gonna enjoy that a lot, honestly.
Yeah, it should be fun.
But like Muta, we know is a fucking big deal in Japan. He's probably a big time draw there too. So like, they're going all out in New Japan to drive sales here. Like they're really working hard to earn those subscriptions, and they're gonna get a lot. Shit, they're getting ours, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I just hope that it's worthwhile. I will say again, like this Sasha news really drove up my interest in Wrestle Kingdom considerably.
Yeah. Dude,
Um,
I'm telling you,
so
I've been saying this since the instant that it was announced that she was going to be at Wrestle Kingdom before we had anything confirmed. She's confronting Kairi after she defends the title against Tam, challenging her to an IWGP Women's title match.
that's excellent. That's a match, Kairi Sasha, and I mean a properly done Kairi Sasha matchup that I've always wanted. And yeah, it's gonna be fucking fantastic. It's gonna be fucking great.
Hell yeah.
Uh, all right, opening it up back up to questions.
Woot woot.
Any other questions? I don't think any were asked while we were
I know
having
that
that
Javaris was
discourse
talking
about
about
Sasha.
this documentary about Kopashi's run as GHC heavyweight champion.
Yeah, if you want to link that in the chat, bro, go ahead. There's a question from Foster. Thoughts on Suzuki-gun breaking up?
Yeah.
I think all factions breaking up is inevitable. It doesn't make it any less sad. And really, for me, I think that Suzuki formally retiring isn't that far behind, and that makes me especially sad because he never got to win the IWGP Heavyweight title. It's forever going to be a stick up my ass that Evil is a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion and Suzuki didn't even get a 1 month run. Um, I think Suzuki's amazing. I like Suzuki-gun as a concept. I think the hottest they were when, they actually first like returned to New Japan and they kind of wreaked havoc. When Zach joined the ranks, I think that kind of elevated him a bit. I think Suzuki had really sweet comments about Zach, really put Zach over. Got me choked up a little bit, even to be honest. And yeah, okay, so the documentary is from Kim Justice. He couldn't post it in the chat. So yeah, guys, if you want to check out a Kobashi documentary, I guess just search Kobashi documentary, Kim Justice on YouTube, and you'll find it. But yeah, Suzuki, I've said it before on Fave Fives and in other commentaries. To me, he's the last real legend of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
I think when he retires, that's going to be such a seismic day in the business. And the funny thing is that most people won't even feel it. I think because they're not really familiar with Japanese wrestling, or they have a very different idea of like what a legend is or whatever. But that's just kind of my pessimism. Foster did just say in the chat, Suzuki said he wants to fight Zach soon, so maybe he's not retiring as soon as we think. I could see him really putting Zach over because I think Zach still is somebody that New Japan is interested in. They gave him a great outing in the G1 this year, even though it did kind of end in embarrassing fashion with how quickly he lost to Naito. So whatever the future holds for Suzuki, I fucking love the dude. I have immense respect for the dude, and I would say that he's genuinely inspiring to me. A guy that can perform at that level in his early 50s and still be as fucking over with the crowd and deservedly over with the crowd because he's not doing ridiculous spots at his age. He's just good. That's the difference. That's the difference between him and a PCO. PCO was doing all these crazy dives and bumps, and that's how he got over. And fine, get your bag however you can. Suzuki just never stopped being good. And that's the difference. Like,
Yes.
to me, fuck everybody else. I will stand on this potential hot take. Suzuki's the standard.
That's the thing about
I think
Suzuki, man. Suzuki might have aged, but Suzuki never got old.
Love that. Because to me, there are two different poles that you should aspire to be. You should aspire to be either a Brock Lesnar, where you make your fucking money taking as little bumps as possible and being able to enjoy a healthy retirement. And if not a Brock Lesnar, you should approximate Brock Lesnar as much as you conceivably can within your talent, card position, etc. Like, get your money, but don't sacrifice your body completely doing it because you want to enjoy that money and enjoy the security it comes with. Or if you're never going to be that, be a Suzuki. Keep your body in the best shape you can. Be as over as you can for as long as you can. I hope Suzuki's financially responsible. I'm going to assume in my headcanon that he is. And just ride the train until the wheels fall off. I mean, the idea, again, that he's competing at this level, and Ric Flair tried to have a last match for a quick payday because Flair can't be responsible with his own fucking checkbook, yet he wants to shit on everybody else. And yet the moment he takes a bump, it's like you got to put him on a stretcher and take him to the fucking ER. Be a Suzuki or a Lesnar. Those, to me, are your two best options if you're a performer in this business. I don't know what female equivalents there would be at present, but those are just the two guys that immediately come to mind. Suzuki's the fucking best. Suzuki Ichiban.
Aja Kong.
Aja Kong. There you go. Aja Kong.
I'm pretty sure she debuted in the fucking 80s, bro.
Yeah, Aja Kong. Meiko Satomura, I think, is another one because she's been wrestling for fucking ever.
Dude, Aja Kong debuted in 1986, and she's still going.
Yeah, that's insane. So either get rich or get longevity. Those are and really, if you're really lucky, you do both.
Bro,
but yeah,
do you believe as much of a legend as Meiko is, Aja outpaces her ass by almost a decade. Meiko debuted in 95, Aja 86.
That's wild, dude. I'm crazy. But yeah, to me, like, I'm always gonna be pissed at New Japan that they never pulled that trigger on Suzuki because he could have made it work.
Yeah.
But yeah. And Foster even said, I mean, I'm still mad you never got to join Suzuki. Foster, I would have been so great in the group. I would have been so fucking great in that faction. And hell, even when they excommunicated me, I would have sold it like death. It would have been incredible. I wanted to eat a Gotch pile driver, damn it. But yeah, I fucking love Suzuki. Is there anything you want to add?
Honor.
Oh my god, absolutely. But look, it's not confirmed that Suzuki's retiring. It's just my pessimism. Is there anything you want to say about Suzuki or Suzuki-gun?
I mean, I fucking adore Suzuki. I think Suzuki's one of the true GOATs. And in my opinion, I really am not all that torn up by Suzuki-gun disbanding. It wouldn't surprise me if some of them came back together and we got like a Taichi Goon or a Saber Goon or a fucking Despy Goon or something along those lines at some point down the line. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them joined other factions. I wouldn't be surprised if we got Desperado in Lij teaming with Hiramu. Those guys are, I think, are they literally related in real life? Like, are they actually brothers IRL, or are they just really tight, like good friends behind the scenes, or what?
Oh, dude, I have no idea.
Okay,
I have no idea. That's
yeah,
yeah.
but I know those guys are at least tight behind the scenes for sure. That could be. I mean, right there is your next dominant junior heavyweight tag team right there. But yeah, I think that Suzuki-gun as a concept is cool as fuck, but they have literally done everything that they can possibly do except have a world champion, and I don't think that was ever going to happen. So I think that this is fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a very measured and appropriate reaction because you're right, conceptually, just these kind of wrestling
Pirates.
pirates, just in terms of mentality, going into promotions and stealing all the like I fucking love that. I love that. You know,
Dude, I'll never
yeah.
forget the New Year Dash that they first showed up on. And they were at fucking full power. It was all these dudes, plus they still had Iizuka. They still had fucking Archer and Davy Boy Jr. Like, it was stacked. And they tore shit up. They were like torturing Tanahashi. I think this was when Tanahashi was actually world champion. Suzuki fucking pile drove his ass, challenged him to a world title match. Like, that was the shit. That was literally that combined with the Young Bucks excommunicating AJ Styles and crowning Kenny Omega as the new leader of the Bullet Club. Those two, I think, might have happened in like back-to-back New Year dashes, and that's literally the only reason that we still have been watching New Year dashes as recently as we have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that New Year's Dash with Suzuki-gun laying waste, and I was hoping that at the it wasn't Sakura Genesis. What was the pay-per-view after that? Whatever the pay-per-view was after that, I really wanted Suzuki to beat Okada for the title, and then it just didn't happen, and I'm like, oh, yeah, but Okada's OP, so that's to be expected.
Naturally,
Um,
naturally.
yes, yes.
I mean, when you're that
Um,
talented, OP is what you deserve.
fair point, fair point. Um, all right, any more questions? I'm gonna give it a few moments here, and then we can appropriately do high spots, low shots. I remember the fucking order this time. So yeah,
Woohoo!
finally getting my shit together after 6 fucking episodes. That's great, new record for me. Uh,
Proud of you, bud.
thanks. Oh, Javaris had an Ibushi question. Where was that?
Bro, Javaris, you know you're my boy. I love you, man, but you have got to learn to temper expectations, bro. I fucking love Ibushi, and I would love nothing more than for him to be the IWGP World Champion right the fuck now, but we don't even know if he's ever going to wrestle again, much less coming back soon enough in wrestling to have an appearance in wrestling on January 4th, much less being on good enough terms with New Japan to do it for that company. Like, there's so many layers of what if to that question, man.
Yeah, I don't want to be like utterly dismissive, but Ashton does raise a solid point in that there are a lot of contingencies here that I couldn't even wade into those waters and say confidently one way or the other. The biggest one being Ibushi's health and his status. Can he even wrestle? Can he, what is his capability at present? Because knowing the kind of competitor Ibushi is, he's not going to come back unless he can be Ibushi 100%. I've heard a lot of wrestlers that are like really proud say the same thing. Hell, we were talking about Suzuki. Suzuki said the same thing. If I can't do the strikes, the submissions, of the pile driver, like that's it. I'm not gonna, be here and have a crowd pity me as I'm trying to do my greatest hits and I'm doing them all, horribly. Ibushi, I guarantee you, is 100% the same way. That dude is not going to step foot in the ring if he's like, can I do the Kame Goye with full impact? Can I do my triangle moonsault? Can I take these
Can I
bumps
do a
that I used to take?
standing fucking corkscrew moonsault like he actually does in a lot of matches?
Yeah. I mean, this dude, he's not a fucking joke, and he doesn't want us treating him like a joke, and I never would. You know, I'm just like, put some fucking respect on Ibushi's name. I mean,
Yeah,
that dude's
like
fucking insane.
that's like that's kind of my thing is like not only is it a question of can Ibushi even wrestle anytime soon health wise, but then the second layer on top of that is even if he could, would it even be for New Japan? I feel like it's more likely that we see him in AEW in 2023 than the New Japan. I feel like that bridge is fucking burned, man.
It was bad. It was bad. Um, like,
Mean both ways.
you
I
know,
don't
when
just
Ibushi,
mean like New Japan won't hire him back. I'm sure they would because he's talented and he'd make them money. I don't think he wants to work for them anymore.
I don't, dude, when you go and you mention the Yakuza as it relates to New Japan and you go there, I'm pretty sure that was Ibushi lighting the bridge even more than New Japan. So I agree with you that it's to me, it's more that Ibushi just doesn't want to work there anymore. I I'd be curious how often him and Kenny talk these days because I wonder if he would want to go to AEW just to be with Kenny and the Bucks. Um, I don't know, man. There's a lot up in the air about Ibushi, assuming that he can even ever wrestle again. I hope he can. We've been seeing so many stories like that, and each one, makes my heart feel good. And I'd love that for Ibushi because I know to him, pro wrestling is his art. He looks at himself as an artist, and goddamn, what an artist he is. But it's too early. It's too early to tell. Hell, I'm still tentative even about Big E, and I think Javaris himself even said earlier in the show that Big E's waiting for a year to get like reevaluated. So he's waiting for like a year markup. Big E's another one. He didn't even have the reckless style of like a fucking Ibushi, and yet Ridge Holland got a little careless on the belly to belly. Thank God Big E wasn't paralyzed, but that neck, Big E may not want to take the chance again, and he'd be well within his right to say, "I've had enough." Like that was enough of a scare for me to reevaluate my entire life. I mean, bodily health is nothing to screw around with. So it really, I guess, depends on Ibushi, but we'll have to see where it goes. Um, any other questions? Javaris also did raise the point that he thinks if Ibushi and New Japan had issues, he doesn't think Kenny does Wrestle Kingdom. I could see that, but I think they are also still their own individuals at the end of the day. So maybe Kenny still did it and thinking like, Ibushi's thing is Ibushi's thing. This is my thing, and I'm getting my Wrestle Kingdom payday kind of thing. I don't know. Any other questions?
I do think that Kenny working New Japan is pretty much proof positive that New Japan is willing to forgive you for just about any sort of infraction if they feel like they can make money with you. Like the Vince McMahon factor almost. Like Vince didn't give a fuck what you did wrong. If he saw money in you, he was willing to forgive you for it. I think New Japan has the same mindset because Kenny and the Bucks and Cody left in the middle of the fucking night. They literally like waited for the contracts to expire and then bailed to make their own fucking wrestling company. They took a huge chunk of business away from New Japan, and now they're in partnership with New Japan to the point that they literally did a shared show this year actually, this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, and you making those points, I didn't see any other questions, so I'm ready to move on to high spots and low shots. Um, I'm gonna say my low shot this week. God, I want to make my low shot this week AEW for that Jericho nonsense, but I think I will just localize it to Chris Jericho. Loses to an absolute nobody that's not going to benefit anybody. So Jericho's my low shot. Who's your low shot?
I mean, from what I understand, just to clarify here, she's been told, hey, the photos that you're posting are too explicit. We can't keep you under contract if you keep posting these. And she kept doing it anyway. So I almost kind of feel like she wanted out in a way.
That could be. That could be.
But still, she lost the title and then she lost her job in 1 week. So I got to go Mandy Rose for my low shot.
That makes all the sense in the world to me. High spot. I'm gonna say honorary high spot Lady C, and only honorary
Yeah.
because yes, she did lose, but she's very clearly a part of a bigger storyline,
Yes.
which I love that for her.
Yeah.
So Fuck yeah. Very happy for her there. I think my actual high spot. Who do I want to go with? Fuck. This is a bit difficult because I know I've been kind of checked out this week. So much wrestling is still so black. I kind of want to give it to somebody in Stardom, but I also don't want to do that because I really do want to spread the love around. I don't want to normalize just going to one place every time. And you know what? In a weird way, I'm going to say my fucking high spot's Kevin Owens. He gets back in the ring with the undisputed champion on December 30th and his former best friend, Sami Zayn, which could also cause tension and shit. But he got John Cena as his tag team partner. John Cena is his tag team partner. Like, yeah, exactly. I think huge fucking get for KO. He's still in the orbit of the like ultimate prize in WWE. He's still fucking with the bloodline, and now he's got John Cena's help. I think everything's coming up Owens right now. So I'm gonna say Kevin Owens for my high spot. Who's your high spot?
Very nice, very nice. Well, you didn't take her, so I will. Roxanne Perez, new NXT Women's Champion.
Hell yeah! All right, good shit for her. Hope she has a great reign. Let's see what NXT does with it. All right, guys, and
Honorary
with
high
that
spot,
said,
though, to the New
yes,
Day, new NXT Tag Team Champions.
yes, and
The
again,
reason
much
their
like
high
Roxanne,
spot is honorary and not full, though, is because like they've been there, done that with more prestigious tag titles than the NXT tag titles. You know.
exactly makes all the sense in the world to me. All right, guys, with that said, this has been TwitWoW in review, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. It's my cohort and commentary Ashton. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top result for weekly wrestling recaps on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. Subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any of that TwitWoW goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best in all the IWC. And that rounds out our week this week. And our first video next week, I'm just going to say, will be Wednesday at 5 for the Stardom Year End Tour Day 3. And yeah, so we got more stuff that week, but I'm going to take it one video at a time. So you guys can join us Wednesday at 5 for Stardom. If you enjoy this series and you just enjoy your weekly recaps, we'll be back Saturday, Christmas Eve, 8 p.m. for TwitWoW, the weekend review for the holiday. And yeah, guys, until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other. And until we meet again, tune in and peace out.